Mo left the Mo family villa. Just as he reached his car, Mo Ching's voice sounded from behind him. So, someone really is keeping you, huh? Yesterday, Mom was talking about a limited edition Maybach, and today, it's a 5 million Ferrari. Mo glanced back at Mo Ching. She had reverted to her usual expression, as if everyone owed her money. Is there something you need? Mo knew deep down that Mo Ching would eventually approach him. President Mo Ching began, a slight taunt in her voice. Let me think. You wouldn't also be coveting the shares I hold, would you? Yeah, just as I thought. You're far more astute than that idiot Mo Jinping. Mo Ching no longer bothered to hide her intentions, her voice laced with disgust when she mentioned Mo Jinping. Honestly, if you were the only son, I'd genuinely be willing to support you wholeheartedly. Mo didn't believe a single word his eldest sister said. What difference was there between him and someone abandoned by the family? Wasn't Mo Jinping still being schemed against by her behind his back? I happen to have an errand. How about you give me a ride? Mo Ching knew Mo didn't trust her, so she didn't waste time on pleasantries and walked straight to the passenger door. We're siblings, yet we've never really had a proper talk, have we? Mo didn't object. The two of them got into the car and left the Mo family villa. Let's go get some coffee. Mo Ching leaned back against the seat, gazing out the window. Mo I can give you 600 million. You give me the shares, I'll still let you keep that house, and once my goals are achieved, I can even give you more shares in Mo Corporation. Mo didn't reply, merely set the GPS for the nearest coffee shop. Only after confirming the route did he ask, Are you planning a coup? That's right. Mo Ching's answer was blunt. Mo didn't press further, simply driving her to the coffee shop. After they entered the shop and ordered 2 coffees, Mo Ching took a sip and couldn't help but frown. Instant coffee. It doesn't taste very good, Mo Ching remarked, yet she still added 2 sugar packets and stirred it slowly with a spoon. If you cooperate with me, I might even share Mo Corporation with you in the future. I don't trust you. Mo stated his thoughts directly. You could scheme against one of your own brothers. There's no guarantee you wouldn't do the same to another, because you won't fight me for it. Mo Ching slowly put down her spoon, her gaze on Mo unreadable. I don't need someone coveting my position, whether it's that idiot Mo Jinping or you, my intelligent younger brother. So, you're resentful, aren't you? Mo looked at her and suddenly smiled. If I recall correctly, Mo Corporation's profits have been steadily rising under your management. Setting other things aside, I actually admire you for that. Hearing this, Mo Ching burst out laughing. A passing man stared at her, somewhat mesmerized. Mo Ching was beautiful, though not on par with the Luo sisters. Her looks were definitely outstanding. Just as I thought. You want revenge too, don't you? Taking an elegant sip of her coffee, Mo Ching continued. That's right. I am resentful. Just because I'm a daughter, a granddaughter, why should father and grandfather expect me to pave the way for Mo Jinping? You don't need to feel aggrieved. Mo glanced out the window. As a son, I'm treated even worse than you. Huh. Mo guess why grandfather, father, and mother all dislike you? Mo Ching winked at him. With her family background, it shouldn't be like this. You're not adopted, you're not sick or disabled, and you're even quite outstanding. Haven't you ever wondered why? Mo didn't answer, merely looked at her, signaling for her to continue. Mo Ching took out her phone, found her WeChat QR code, and held it out to Mo Add me as a friend, little brother. Some things require evidence, don't they? Mo didn't hesitate. After scanning the code and adding her, Mo Ching sent him a file. It contains what you want to know about mom and dad, too. Mo Ching put her phone away. As for grandfather, I can tell you, he's doing it deliberately. I don't know the exact reason yet. It's just speculation. You probably don't know, grandfather had a younger brother, and your birth month and day are exactly the same as that granduncle's. Mo was stunned for a moment. He hadn't expected such a coincidence. But what did that have to do with him? You can go back and ask grandmother, though I doubt she knows either. Mo Ching crossed her arms, watching Mo As for mom and dad, setting aside my identity as their daughter, I also want to say, you have every right to hate them. You have every right to hate me, and to hate your second and third sisters. Those two don't know the truth. As for me, I did it deliberately. Mo Ching was very candid when she said this, almost making one feel she had no remorse whatsoever. Mo Xian's left hand, hidden under the table, clenched tightly, but his expression remained unchanged. His tone, however, carried a hint of coldness. You certainly are frank. You already knew, didn't you? Mo Qingqing seemed unconcerned. I indulged Mo Jinping, but I also knew he wouldn't gain much from it. However, I truly didn't expect Su Yanran. For that, I must apologize to you. Hypocritical. That was the only thought in Mo Xian's mind. For her own goals, she had just watched coldly from the sidelines. Mo Xian even suspected she was willing to see Mo Jinping and Su Yanran together. Logically, if she wanted to snatch Mo Corporation from Mo Jinping, she should have obstructed them. Yet, she never interfered from start to finish, and even gave Mo Jinping money. That meant Mo Jinping's marriage alliance with Su Yanran benefited her. That was the only explanation. I can cooperate with you, Mo Xian said slowly. However, I'll only give you the shares after I receive the money. Can you get grandmother's approval? Naturally, otherwise I wouldn't agree to your terms. Hearing Mo Xian's words, Mo Qingqing nodded, then stood up. Wait for my news. Don't worry, I'm not like mom, dad, or grandfather. I keep my word. Oh, and this one's on. Mo Xian gazed out the window as Mo Qingqing hailed a taxi and left. He slowly took a recording pen from his pocket and couldn't help but smile. He could understand Mo Qingqing. Anyone would be unwilling to hand over everything they'd achieved to someone else. It was just that Mo Qingqing was too ruthless, simultaneously overpraising Mo Jinping to ruin him while allowing him to suppress Mo Xian. Understanding didn't mean he would reconcile with his eldest sister. On the contrary, Mo Xian knew that once Mo Qingqing got everything, he would likely be her next target. Meanwhile, Luo Xia received a message on her phone. After a glance, she showed no expression and simply locked the screen. Sis, what's wrong? Luo Miyuki walked over and sat down beside Luo Xia, asking curiously. Luo Xia chuckled softly, her slender fingers tapping her phone screen. Mo Qingqing really couldn't sit still. She's going to acquire little Xian's shares. Oh, she's finally making her move. Hearing Luo Xia's words, Luo Miyuki wasn't surprised at all, as if the sisters had known all along. Luo Xia gave a cold laugh, picked up her phone, sent a message, and then put it down. The recipient's contact name read, Su Yanran. Leaving the coffee shop, Mo Xian checked the time. He had originally planned to go to the university, but on the way, he received a video from Luo Xia. His two daughters were at the Luo family's ancestral home, crying and fussing for their daddy, utterly inconsolable. Mo Xian had no choice but to drive over to the Luo residence. Since he was part of a research and development team, he wasn't enrolled in a full-time doctoral program, so his schedule was relatively flexible. When he arrived at the Luo family's ancestral home, he was surprised to find his two little ones already waiting at the main gate. Daddy, Daddy! Seeing Mo Xian, Luo Weier, and Luo Shuer scampered over on their short little legs. They hugged his legs, one on each side, and looked up at him with pitiful expressions. What's wrong, my darlings? The sight of them made Mo Xian forget all his troubles. He had just picked them up when his sisters threw their arms around his neck, each planting a big kiss on his cheeks. Mr. Mo, you're finally here. The nanny looking after the two children looked as if she'd seen her savior. The young misses were making a fuss, wanting to see you, the old madam, as guests, so the eldest miss had no choice but to call you over. It's all right, Daddy's here. Mo Xian put the two children down, holding one by each hand. Since the old madam has guests, perhaps I should take the children home first. The eldest miss and second miss instructed us to bring you in as soon as you arrived, the nanny replied. Hearing this, Mo Xian nodded and, holding his daughter's hands, followed her into the ancestral home. Though called an ancestral home, it was actually a grand mansion preserved from the Republican era. The Luo family, a clan with a century-long history, had deep roots and had been a dominant force in Jingdu even back then. There was an even older residence, but for some reason, the Luo family didn't live there. Passing by the reception room, Mo Xian saw through the open door that Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki were sitting on the sofa, their faces cold. Old Madame Luo was chatting warmly with an elderly woman of similar age. Beside this woman sat a man in a deep blue, custom-tailored suit. He looked to be around 26 or 27, and his eyes kept drifting towards Luo Xia and her sister. Mo Xian's gaze instantly turned icy. Usually when such people visited, it was for a matchmaking arrangement. The Luo family status was undeniable, and Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki's beauty and figures were almost unrealistically gorgeous. Even knowing they had children didn't deter these scions of wealthy families from coming to propose. Shaking his head, Mo Xian led the children away. His current status didn't allow him to intervene. In truth, he felt extremely guilty. Every time he was reminded of their situation, His loathing for Mo Jinping deepened. Luo Xia and Luo Muki had born as children, and the three of them were caught in a tangled, irresolvable emotional web. They could have had better choices, yet they remained by his side. From Mo Xian's perspective, it was Mo Jinping's scheme against him that had led to all this. Reaching the second floor with the children, Mo Xian sat on the sofa, an inexplicable ache in his heart. This wasn't the first time something like this had happened. Suitors had even shown up at the manor where Luo Xia and Luo Muki lived. Mo Xian's deep-seated insecurity had made him want to leave and never return on several occasions. Especially at times like this, he felt like someone abandoned by his own family, utterly unworthy of Luo Xia and Luo Muki. Like a whale in the deep sea, no matter how high it leaped, it could never touch the distant stars. "Daddy, Daddy." His daughter's calls pulled Mo Xian from his reverie. Looking at their adorable faces, he sighed, composed himself, then took out his phone. "How about Daddy find some cartoons for you to watch?" Luo Wei'er and Luo Shui'er loved Pokemon the most. Not that they understood anything about battles. They just thought it was full of cute creatures. Just then, the door was suddenly pushed open. The man from the reception room earlier walked straight in without knocking. He paused for a moment upon seeing Mo Xian, then asked in an arrogant tone, "Why is there a male nanny here?" Mo Xian glanced up at him and said coolly, "Sir, knocking before entering a room is basic courtesy." The man paid him no mind, instead casting a disdainful look at the two little ones engrossed in their cartoon. Then, he ordered, "You can leave." Mo Xian didn't answer, merely looking at the man as if he were an idiot. It had to be said, the man was handsome enough and about the same height as him. However, his condescending gaze and certain subtle gestures reminded Mo Xian of a notorious player. "Didn't you hear me? Are you Luo Xia's or Luo Muki's assistant?" Seeing Mo Xian make no move, the man's tone carried a hint of displeasure. "Regardless of who I marry, I don't like you. Get lost. And what if I don't leave?" Mo Xian, far from intending to leave, leaned back on the sofa and gave him a defiant look. The man didn't get angry, but said scornfully, "As the future son-in-law of the Luo family, can't I even deal with an assistant like you?" The nanny standing nearby rolled her eyes. "Him leave? Anyone in this house could leave, but not Mr. Mo. Otherwise, these two little ones would cry the house down." "Worry about that when you actually become the Luo family's son-in-law," Mo Xian said, suppressing the urge to punch him, and then ignored him. At that very moment, Luo Wei'er very opportunely turned to look at the man, stuck her tongue out at him, and then said to Mo Xian in her sweet, childlike voice, "Daddy, I want candy." Hearing Luo Wei'er call Daddy, the man's expression stiffened. He didn't know if Luo Wei'er belonged to Luo Xia or Luo Muki, but it confirmed that his already slim chances were now even slimmer. Downstairs, Luo Xia and Luo Muki hadn't shown him the slightest bit of courtesy, not even bothering to utter a single word in reply. He had come with his grandmother. If not for her acquaintance with old Madame Luo, he probably wouldn't have even gotten to see the sisters. Luo Wei'er, as if she hadn't heard him speak, continued to hug Mo Xian's arm, acting cute. Daddy was the most handsome. Who would want to look at this weird uncle? Born out of wedlock, after all. No upbringing. The man muttered under his breath. "I'm Yi Ning of the Jingdu Yi family. You should have heard of me, right?" "What did you just say?" Mo Xian suddenly looked up, his gaze as sharp as a knife, meeting Yi Ning's eyes. Yi Ning, oblivious, sneered, "Scared you?" "I said I'm from the Yi family of Jingdu." "I asked, what did you just say?" Mo Xian's voice rose sharply, completely devoid of warmth. Yi Ning was somewhat intimidated, but still maintained his high and mighty air, speaking sarcastically. "Was I wrong? Isn't it a fact that she's ill-bred?" Mo Xian slowly stood up, gently placed Luo Wei'er on the sofa, patted her head, and then turned towards Yi Ning. "What, you? A mere employee want to hit me?" Although the Yi family in Jingdu wasn't as prominent as the Luo family, there was still a wealthy and influential household, considerably stronger than Mo Xian's own Mo family. Yi Ning truly didn't believe Mo Xian would dare to touch him. So, when Mo Xian's palm cracked across his face, sending him spinning twice on the spot, he thought he was dreaming. You, did you just hit me?" Mo Xian looked at him coldly, his voice filled with threat and warning. "It's not your place, you piece of trash who doesn't even know how to knock, to badmouth my daughter." Yi Ning had never suffered such humiliation. In the entire capital, few dared to slap him, the young master of the Yi family, directly across the face. "Daddy, no hitting!" Luo Wei'er and Luo Shui'er cried out, running to hug Mo Xian's legs when they saw him slap Yi Ning. Seeing his daughter's pitiful expressions, Xian's anger instantly vanished. I'm sorry, Daddy was wrong. Xian apologized to his two daughters. Daddy shouldn't have lost his temper and hit someone in front of my darlings. This infuriated Ning even more. You hit me, and instead of apologizing to me, you apologized to your daughters? But before he could say anything, the door was kicked open. Xie strode in on 10-centimeter high heels, an icy aura radiating from her. The words on the tip of Ning's tongue died in his throat. Eldest miss, the nanny said upon seeing Xie, dutifully summarizing what had just happened. This Mr. Yi barged in without knocking and was disrespectful to Mr. Mo and the young misses. Mr. Mo slapped him because Mr. Yi insulted the young misses. Xie glanced back at Ning, her coldly beautiful face as if frozen with frost, her enchanting eyes devoid of any warmth. Apologize, Xie uttered coldly. At this, Ning completely lost control and shouted, Xie, your man hit me, and you want me to apologize? Your face dirted his hand. The chill emanating from Xie intensified. I said, apologize. Ning nearly choked on Xie's words. What does she mean my face dirted his hand? What does Xie take him for, trash? Well, young Master Yi, life's been too good to you, hasn't it? Daring to throw your weight around in the Luo family's old residence. Luo Miyuki had entered at some point, arms crossed, a smirk on her face. She turned to the nanny and asked, did the young misses call him daddy just now? They did, the nanny confirmed. Mr. He also said the young misses were born out of wedlock and had no manners. Oh, right, and Mr. You didn't knock when he came in. Ning's face flushed red, then deathly pale. He was used to being arrogant and domineering. Moreover, he was overconfident, believing that his willingness to accept Xie or Luo Miyuki, despite them having children out of wedlock, was doing them a huge favor. The Yi family might not be on par with the Luos, but they were still a prominent and influential family in the capital. Pampered and living in luxury since childhood, Ning was naturally arrogant. But he had forgotten. This was the Luo residence, a place where even the head of the Yi family would have to kowtow. Get out, Xie pointed to the door. Humiliated, Ning glared at Xian but dared not say anything more and quickly left. Are the children all right? With no outsiders present, the unapproachable aura surrounding Xie and Luo Miyuki seemed to vanish. Xie walked over to Xian and asked softly, as if her gentleness, and that of her sister, was reserved for him alone. They're fine. It was my fault too. Xian felt guilty. No matter how angry he had been, he shouldn't have resorted to violence in front of the children. Did I cause trouble for you? It's nothing, just a small matter. Xie gently stroked Xian's head. Amir Ning was indeed beneath her notice. Luo Miyuki nodded at the nanny, who tactfully excused herself, closing the door behind her. He was brought here by old Madame Yi. Grandmother already refused them, Xie said, sitting on the sofa and taking Luo Weier, who was hugging her father, into her own arms. Our children will only have you as their father. No one can replace you, little Xian. Xian blushed at Xie's words, too shy to speak, and just nodded lightly. Leaving the Luo family villa, old Madame Yi and Ning got into their Rolls-Royce. The old madam looked at Ning, who was covering his face, her expression one of utter disappointment. You've been completely spoiled by your parents. Old Madam Yi sighed. Old Madam Luo just said she didn't want a marriage alliance with our family for her granddaughters. And you? Claiming to be the future son-in-law of the Luo family? You're nothing. Grandmother. Ning was genuinely afraid of his grandmother, and knowing he was in the wrong, he lowered his head, not daring to retort. The Luo family went through such turmoil back then. The eldest branch only has Luo Tian, and the second branch only has the Luo sisters. Countless people have their eyes on those girls. I managed to bring you here, relying on my somewhat friendly relationship with old Madame Luo, and you still act like a spoiled brat. Old Madame Yi couldn't help but sigh. The number of men in the capital who wanted to marry Xie or Luo Miyuki was staggering. To say nothing of others, there was young Master Xiao, known as the capital's foremost young elite, and that young Master Cheng, obsessed with Buddhist scriptures. Which of them wasn't from a better family than Ning, or leagues ahead of her grandson in terms of ability? Those two powerful families couldn't even make headway with these two princesses, yet her own grandson dared to offend them with his usual arrogant behavior, even daring to criticize their daughters to their faces. All right, forget about this marriage prospect, old Madame Yi said, too tired to bother further. She closed her eyes to rest. I've already found a daughter from another family. Though her family background isn't as good as ours, let alone the Luos, this girl is ambitious and reminds me of myself when I was young. Get ready and find some time to meet her. Grandmother, who is she? The eldest daughter of the Mo family, Mo Ching. The door was pushed open by old Madame Luo. Inside, the three adults were playing happily with the two children. Old Madame Luo gently closed the door again and turned to leave. Old Madam, aren't you going in? Her attending caregiver asked. Old Madame Luo waved her hand. Let's wait until dinner. That boy, Mo Xian. He's rather unlucky to have ended up with those two girls of ours. AI. The caregiver was taken aback. What nonsense was the old madam spouting? Mo Xian must have had incredibly good fortune from his ancestors to gain the favor of the two young misses. Why would the old madam say such a thing? Don't think I'm talking nonsense. Love that is too heavy can easily lead one astray. Old Madame Luo sighed, shaking her head. No matter how well those two girls pretend, there will come a day when they can't keep it up. It's all because of that damned old man of mine and his sins. If he hadn't left behind such a messy legacy, this ill-fated entanglement for these children wouldn't exist today. Hearing this, the caregiver felt a wave of fear. The old Master Luo had been promiscuous in his early years, leaving behind two illegitimate sons and an illegitimate daughter. Unexpectedly, when Master Luo passed away 10 years ago, these three had plotted to eradicate the families of old Madame Luo's two legitimate sons, aiming to seize the entire Luo family fortune. Luo Xia, her sister, and Luo Tian became their primary targets for assassination. The caregiver didn't know the full details, only that Luo Xia and Luo Myuki had suddenly disappeared for 2 years. Everyone thought the sisters had been killed by the illegitimate children. Later, it was revealed they had been sent to trusted individuals of the Luo family, their identities hidden for secret protection. It wasn't until 2 years later, after the Luo family's internal strife ended, that the two young misses were brought back home. It was from that time onwards that their personalities changed drastically. But what did all this have to do with Mo Xian? The caregiver wanted to ask, but she knew it wasn't her place. It was her fault too. Old Madame Luo's eyes filled with tears as she thought of this. If I hadn't been so obstinate back then, almost sacrificing the sisters, they wouldn't have become like this. Children and grandchildren will forge their own paths. If the sisters feel this is right for them, then let them be. Mo Xian had just stepped out to grab a glass of water when Luo Xia followed him and tugged him into a small room. Xian, can I ask you something? What is it? The moment he saw her, Mo Xian felt a wave of guilt. After all, just last night, he'd barely stepped out of Luo Xia's room when Luo Myuki had gotten the better of him. He felt like he'd just been caught cheating. Relax, Luo Xia said with a half-smile, her eyes fixed on him. I just wanted to know, did anything happen after you went back to the Mo family? Mo Xian let out a quiet sigh of relief. Thinking about it, she had been so exhausted last night, she must have gone to bed early. She probably didn't know anything. Nothing much, really. Just confirmed again that my biological father never fails to disappoint, he said with a bitter smile, and gave her a rundown of everything that happened that day, including his meeting with Mo Ching. But Luo Xia's expression darkened, and she suddenly asked in a cold tone, why were you having coffee alone with Mo Ching? Mo Xian was stunned. He had a legitimate reason. He needed to talk to her. But looking at the clearly displeased Luo Xia, he couldn't figure out why she was suddenly so upset. No more meeting with other women alone, she said, grabbing his wrist tightly, her voice deadly serious. Xia, did you forget she's my biological sister? Mo Xian explained, sensing the shift in her mood. Luo Xia paused, her expression briefly flickering with embarrassment. She cleared her throat and said, I just don't trust her. I'm serious. Unless it's me or my sister, don't be alone with any other woman. Got it, Mo Xian said with a helpless smile. For some reason, he reached out and gently patted her head. Caught off guard by the sudden affection, Luo Xia froze for a moment. Then her eyes softened, but with a hint of something unhinged. Before Mo Xian could react, she grabbed his collar and kissed him. This time, after a brief moment of shock, Mo Xian gently wrapped his arms around her waist. But that only seemed to fuel her fervor. Eventually, their lips parted, but then Luo Xia's hands started fumbling with his zipper. Xia, cut it out. Mo Xian panicked and tried to stop her, but she had already pulled off his jacket. She yanked open the collar of his shirt, revealing his toned right shoulder. Xian, tell me, who made you happier last night? Me or my sister? Xian. His mind went blank. It was like a giant red danger sign was flashing above his head. W, what are you talking about? He stammered, turning his head away, too guilty to look at her. Didn't you go to sleep early last night? Xie chuckled darkly. Her gaze was unhinged, yet her hands were surprisingly gentle as they caressed his exposed shoulder. My sweet Xian, you've even learned how to lie to me now, she whispered as she leaned in toward his shoulder. Then tell me, what happened to your left shoulder? Xia, I can explain. Please calm down. Don't come any closer. Xian looked down at his bruised shoulder, and one thought consumed his mind. Just end me already. I'm done. Xie licked her lips, clearly satisfied, then wrapped her arms tightly around his neck. So, Xian, you still haven't answered me. Who made you feel better last night? Do I have to choose? Yes. Then I choose death. She snorted, then gently stroked his cheek. I wouldn't let you die, silly. Come on, let's go. After helping him tidy up his clothes, she leaned close to his ear and whispered, Tonight, you're sleeping with me. Xian sighed in defeat and followed her out of the room. As soon as they stepped into the hallway, his phone buzzed with a message from Luo Muki. Brother, I'm going to sneak attack you again tonight. Ever since everything between them had come to light, the sisters had been acting weird. They were still sweet to him, but their possessiveness had gone through the roof. Take last night, for example. The moment he remembered it, his throat went dry and his face heated up. That first chaotic night with the sisters. He hadn't remembered a thing. He had assumed the most recent incident was a dream, completely unaware that the sisters had long since crossed every line. But this time was different. He had been fully aware and willing. He was at that age, full of vitality, with the stamina and equipment to match. Now that he'd had a taste, it was hard not to get hooked. Mr. Mo, are you all right? A housekeeper gently tapped his shoulder, snapping him out of his daze. Yeah, just thinking about something. The madam would like to see you. Xian was a bit surprised. He'd visited the Luo family multiple times, but aside from the first time, when they discussed the baby, Luo Xia's grandmother hadn't requested to speak with him alone again. He followed the housekeeper to the study. The old matriarch, wearing reading glasses and holding a book, smiled when she saw him. Mo, just in time. I need some help organizing my bookshelf. Of course, ma'am. Xian had always respected the elderly matriarch. She was a formidable woman, someone who had studied abroad back in the day, and whose maiden family, the Zhun family, held significant influence. She had also been the one who approved of Xian living with Xia and Muki to take care of the child, and never once criticized him for it. She said suddenly, have you thought about your future? He continued matching books to their labeled spots on the shelf. I want to finish school first. As for the rest, honestly, I haven't thought that far ahead. He had advanced quickly in his studies, but post-graduation, he hadn't really formed a concrete plan. You might think I'm just an old lady meddling in your business, she said, closing her book. But the Luo family isn't short on money. Even if you never work a day in your life, Xia and Muki could give you a lifetime of luxury. She paused, then looked at him with a piercing gaze. So, have you considered leaving all this behind? Taking the girls and the child somewhere no one knows you? I know everything that's happened between you three. I won't interfere. What's done is done, and that's their choice. If you agree, I'll give you shares in the Luo Corporation. I'll even transfer a large portion of my personal assets to you. All I ask is that you leave the capital, go live your lives in peace away from here. Xian froze for a second, then turned around to face her. The old woman looked dead serious, her expression solemn and eyes sharp. Ma'am, you're worried that Xia and Muki might try to seize power from Luo Tian, aren't you? Hearing Xian's words, old Madame Luo didn't get angry. Instead, she smiled and said, in terms of ability, although Xia is younger than Luo Tian, she's more outstanding. Muki is playful, but when she gets serious, she's not far behind Xia, and she's a renowned designer. If it weren't a last resort, how could I possibly give up on them? She then asked, or, have you remembered something? Xian was a bit lost upon hearing this. For some reason, his first reaction was that old Madame Luo was worried Luo Xia and Luo Muki would threaten Luo Tian. The feeling was familiar. It was as if he knew something from the past, but he just couldn't recall it. Seeing his confused expression, old Madame Luo secretly sighed in relief. If he can't remember, then let it be. Perhaps it's better for him not to remember. Think about it, young Mo. I'm entrusting my two most precious granddaughters to you. Old Madame Luo slowly stood up. Actually, I prefer if you stayed. Even if your relationship with Xia and Muki is exposed, the Luo family wouldn't care. Needless to say about the sisters, your talent is also rare. For someone your age to reach your level of academic achievement is truly a rarity. Selfishly speaking, keeping a promising young man like you with us is better than letting you go to another family, don't you think? However, I think you all might end up leaving the capital eventually. I know you pretty well, child. You have an easygoing nature and not much ambition. As for those two rivals, don't underestimate your importance in their hearts. Actually, old Madame Luo hadn't told them the whole truth. Them taking P2.She away from the capital, that great dying vat of influences, would be a good thing for their family of 5. P2.She was Luo Xia and Luo Muki's Achilles heel. Right now, things were calm and well, but if anything happened to P2.She, her granddaughters would likely turn the entire capital upside down. Originally, Luo Muki marrying P2.She, with Luo Weier registered under her name, was already the most perfect solution. For a family of the Luo's status, a matching family background wasn't necessary. Good character was all that mattered. The reason for not choosing Luo Xia initially was that old Madame Luo hoped Luo Tian would succeed as chairman in the future, with Luo Xia as CEO. But Luo Xia had said just one thing, and old Madame Luo had simply given up and decided not to interfere. Grandma, if you don't want me to completely destroy the Luo Corporation, then you can do as you wish. Luo Xia's madness in that moment had terrified even old Madame Luo, who had seen her share of big scenes. She was certain Luo Xia had the capability, and even more certain that she would dare to do it. If one P2.She could appease both sisters, old Madame Luo naturally accepted it. Back when she had merely known P2.She was dating Su Yanran, the scene that unfolded. She felt a lingering fear just thinking about it. These two sisters had endured for so long precisely, so their elders would stop interfering in their lives. All their efforts were to show them. As long as P2.She was by their side, that was all that mattered to the sisters. In the capital, there was no guarantee P2.She wouldn't run into trouble. His original family, those wealthy families coveting Luo Xia and Luo Muki, and even people jealous of P2.She's talent, could all become threats to him. Instead of letting them live in turmoil, it was better to give them a peaceful latter half of their lives. Even if Luo Tian wasn't as capable as Luo Xia, his abilities were definitely not poor, and he also had 2 sons and a daughter. Any one of them could be the future head of the Luo family. If the sisters didn't leave, then everything would remain as it was, and the Luo family would also protect P2.She with all their might. After all, this was what the Luo family owed the sisters. P2.She remained silent for a long time. In fact, he also hoped to leave the capital. Luo Xia and Luo Muki had the same idea. Although he had always devoted a lot of energy to his profession and was indeed exceptionally talented, after experiencing betrayals in family, love, and friendship, P2.She had become quite philosophical about many things. I'll listen to them, P2.She said slowly. As long as they're willing, whether we stay or go, I will stay by their side and the children's. Old Madame Luo looked at P2.She, sighed softly, and said no more. After dinner at the old residence, Luo Xia and Luo Muki got into their own car, while the 2 little munchkins went with P2.She in his. Originally, they could have seen Luo Xia and Luo Muki's parents at the old residence, but they had gone abroad and wouldn't be back for a while. Back at the manor, P2.She was pulled by the 2 little munchkins to play with them, and P2.She was naturally willing. Daddy Weier wants to drink sweet tea. Daddy, Schwer wants to drink it too. Because P2.She knew how to cook and had learned to make pear tea from his grandmother, and the 2 little ones had tasted it once, they would sometimes pester P2.She to make it for them. Okay, I'll go make it. P2.She always granted his daughter's requests. Xia, Muki, do you want some? Sure, brother, I want extra honey in mine. P2.She nodded in agreement and turned to enter the kitchen. Luo Xia glanced at her younger sister, a slight smile playing on her lips. Muki, let's get some rest early tonight. Luo Muki raised an eyebrow and chuckled. Sis, then let's see who actually gets to rest early, shall we? Luo Weier and Luo Schwer looked left, then right. The 2 little munchkins exchanged a glance, slid off the sofa, and hurried to find their daddy. Otherwise, the atmosphere would turn frosty soon, and the little ones were afraid of the chill. Daddy, daddy. Seeing P2.She cutting pears, the 2 little girls hugged his legs, one on each side. P2.She quickly put down the knife, bent down, and coaxed the children. Be good, my darlings. Don't run into the kitchen to play. Daddy will be done soon. Want to be with Daddy, Luo Weier said in her childish voice, while Luo Shuer nodded her little head beside her like a chick pecking at grain. Mommy and Annie were too cold and scary over there. They wouldn't go looking for trouble. Xian didn't understand why. So he had the two little munchkins wait at a safe distance, specifically telling them not to run around. The two little ones obediently waited there, watching their daddy. After being busy for a while, he finally managed to get the children and their two mothers to drink the pear tea. Luo Xia and Luo Myuki had already returned to their rooms earlier. Seeing their mommy and Annie leave, the two little munchkins' eyes darted around, and they wheedled their daddy, who was changing them into their pajamas. "Daddy, can you sleep with Shuer tonight?" Because the sisters lived in the same room and slept on a large bed, Xian would occasionally come over to sleep with the two children. Thinking that he hadn't hugged his little ones to sleep for several days, Xian gently tapped their little noses and said, "All right, Daddy will go take a shower and change into pajamas first. I'll be over soon, okay?" About an hour later, Luo Xia and Luo Myuki simultaneously left their bedrooms and successfully met at Xian's doorway. "Well, Myuki," Luo Xia said, looking her sister up and down. She was wearing a sheer, white camisole nightgown, her well-defined figure faintly visible. "Are you really planning to fight me for him?" Luo Myuki glanced disdainfully at her older sister, who was wearing a black lace nightgown, just as revealing as hers, if not more so. She thought for a moment, then suddenly blushed and whispered, "Sis, why don't we? Together." When Xian woke up the next morning, he was nearly scared to death by the scene in front of him. The bed was definitely large. Luo Wire and Luo Shuer were restless sleepers, so Luo Xia and the others had custom ordered it. But now, with two grown women squeezed in as well, things are getting a little cramped. The two girls were sprawled across the head of the bed, nestled right up against Xian's head. Meanwhile, Luo Xia and Luo Myuki were clinging to either side of him, each taking one of his arms hostage. Clearly, the kids had been moved up toward the headboard, while the women had burrowed into his embrace. Xian tried to pull his arms free, but just then, Luo Xia groggily opened her eyes. Seeing that he was awake, she gave him a drowsy, sultry smile. Her beauty was already stunning on a normal day, but that sleepy, lazy allure paired with that captivating smile made Xian's heart pound wildly. A moment later, her exquisite face drew closer and closer in his vision. Her soft, warm lips gently brushed his. Before Xian could even recover from the first kiss, Luo Myuki, still with her eyes closed, reached up and touched his face. A faint smile played on her lips as she slowly kissed him too. Xian's mind went completely blank. How was he supposed to handle this kind of situation? Maybe I should just order a bigger bed? Luo Xia sat up, stretching lazily. She and her sister had changed into proper pajamas last night since the kids were around. Rolling her neck, she glanced at the two sleeping girls curled up like little kittens at the head of the bed. Her expression turned sour. Unbelievable. Those little munchkins beat her to the punch. Luo Myuki, acting like a giant cat, didn't bother getting up. Instead, she snuggled even closer to Xian on purpose. "Cut the act. Get up and head to the office," Luo Xia said coldly. "You're always bossing me around." Luo Myuki protested, eyes fluttering open. She pouted and hugged Xian's arm tighter. "I'm not going to the office today. I have to stop by school. Big bro, let's go together, okay? What are you going to school for?" Luo Xia jumped in before Xian could even ask. Luo Myuki sat up slowly. Glancing at Luo Shuer, who was still sprawled out on her back, she reached out and pinched the little girl's chubby cheek. "You little brat, trying to steal my man?" Poor Luo Shuer whimpered in her sleep, her pudgy face scrunching up as she waved a tiny hand in protest. Even though it didn't hurt, she still tried to slap her mom's hand away. After letting out her frustration, Luo Myuki gave her daughter's face a satisfied rub, then turned back to Luo Xia. "Did you forget, sis? I'm still doing my grad program at the art department." She wasn't lying. Luo Myuki had majored in finance, but she never gave up her love for painting and design. That's why she chose to pursue further studies at the art school of Capital University. Just like Xian, she wasn't enrolled full-time. Xian didn't think much of it. Back when Luo Myuki hadn't graduated yet, he used to hitch a ride with her to school all the time. He turned back to the girls, trying to coax the little ones awake. But suddenly, a chill ran down his spine. Without thinking, he pulled the blanket over himself. Why did the temperature in the room always seem to drop so randomly? What he didn't notice was Luo Xia's face darkening, her presence radiating with icy cold. "Don't worry, sis. I won't sneak a bite." Luo Myuki looped her arm around Luo Xia's and whispered playfully. Besides, we're not even in the same department at school. Even if I wanted to, there's no opportunity. As she spoke, she secretly drew an X on the floor with her foot. Luo-Shia definitely noticed. She sighed and muttered, "Fine, you get a pass this time. But tonight, you know the drill." Okay. Luo-Muki giggled. "I'm going to change then." She skipped out of the girl's bedroom, not noticing the faint smile curling at the corners of Luo-Shia's mouth. Mo-Xian returned to his own room to wash up and change. That's when he remembered the folder Mo-Ching had sent him. Honestly, he wasn't that interested. Luo-Shia and Luo-Muki had already used the Luo family's resources to dig up most of the truth. Because of that, whatever shred of affection Mo-Xian had left for his parents had completely vanished. Still, just in case the Luo family missed something, he figured he should take a look. As soon as he opened the files, Mo-Xian was stunned. For the first time, he genuinely admired Mo-Ching. He couldn't tell if it was her deep scheming nature or the ruthlessness she inherited from Mo-Changshan and Qin Nai, but she had uncovered things even the Luo family hadn't. Despite all their power, some things were simply more accessible to someone still inside the Mo family. He never imagined Mo-Changshan could be this cruel. Mo-Jinping wasn't Qin Ni's biological son. He was the illegitimate child of Mo-Changshan and his first love, Li Yuzhen. Mo-Xian already knew that much. Uncle Zheng had used that secret to threaten Mo-Jinping. But aside from Mo-Xian, Mo-Ching, Mo-Changshan, and Mo-Jinping himself, no one in the Mo family knew the truth. What was even more horrifying, Mo-Changshan and Li Yuzhen had swapped out Mo-Xian's biological brother, the child Qin and I had actually given birth to. And that child was dead, killed by Li Yuzhen, with Mo-Changshan's approval. The evidence? A recording. Mo-Xian's hands trembled as he clutched his phone. Even a vicious tiger wouldn't eat its cubs, but Mo-Changshan? He not only abused Mo-Xian for the sake of Mo-Jinping, he even allowed his own flesh and blood to be killed. Not that he had any sympathy for Qin and I. She wasn't clean either. Jiang Sifeng wasn't her godson. He was her bastard son. Both husband and wife had their own first loves tucked away in their hearts. And yet, neither of them had ended up with their first loves. A perfect match. Mo-Xian sneered coldly. "What a pitiful life you've led, President Qin." Mo-Ching had uncovered Jiang Sifeng's true identity, but hadn't dug deep enough. The Luo family, however, had. Mo-Xian couldn't help but wonder, what would Qin and I do if she found out the full truth? That Mo-Jinping wasn't her son, and Jiang Sifeng was. He had a twisted urge to watch her reaction. If it weren't for his grandmother, he might have sent the entire folder to Mo-Changshan and Qin and I already. Let them tear each other apart like rabid dogs. But he couldn't. He had promised his grandmother. Mo-Xian didn't care about the rest of the Mo family, but he couldn't hurt her. With a deep breath, he opened his laptop and uploaded the files to back them up. If it had only been mistreatment, he wouldn't have hated them to this degree. But what he could never forgive was how they had deliberately sabotaged his relationship with Su Yanran, all for Mo-Jinping. And what enraged him the most, when his grandmother had collapsed, no one in the Mo family had lifted a finger to help. Instead, they mocked him. They actually thought he faked the doctor's call to scam money from them. He would never forget the way Mo-Changshan sneered at him. "It's my money. I'll give it to whoever I want. Don't lie about your grandma. Your grandpa doesn't care about her, and if she dies, that's her problem." If it hadn't been for the Mo family's coldness and arrogance, she might have lived more than 2 years. Mo-Changshan, Qin and I'll be waiting for the day the two of you are ruined, tearing each other apart like animals. Mo-Xian clenched his fists, his eyes burning red. After breakfast, Laura rushed to the office. As soon as she arrived, Hui Jie came over and whispered, "The Yi family has made contact with Mo-Ching." "Oh, that explains it," Laura sneered. Even before Mo-Xian told her, she already knew what Mo-Ching was after. For Mo-Ching to negotiate with Mo-Xian so boldly, it was obvious she wasn't acting alone. It's not surprising that the Yi family matriarch would take a liking to her. "That woman's always had a soft spot for ambitious girls," Laura murmured, gently touching the necklace Mo-Xian had given her. "It doesn't matter. It's just the Yi family." Mo-Xian never truly understood who Laura was. To him, the heiress of the Lo family was just a concept. Powerful, yes, but abstract. He saw her as elegant, aloof, maybe a bit cold, but never cruel. But the truth was, Laura had crushed dozens, if not hundreds, of companies and conglomerates, including powerful family-run corporations and well-funded foreign enterprises. Her ruthlessness, outside of Xian's sight, was enough to shock even Lo Tian. The Lo family wasn't just a financial empire. They had deep ties in politics, the military, and even the underworld. For those who crossed her, it only took a flick of her fingers to destroy them beyond recovery. If she truly wished, there was almost nothing she couldn't do. That's why, despite Laura being an unwed mother, countless wealthy heirs still fought for a chance to marry her. It wasn't about love. It was about power. Huijie and Lo Tian could never understand why Laura and Lo Muki spent so much time probing into the Mo and Qin families. If Laura really wanted to, she could erase both families from the capital overnight. Noticing Huijie's puzzled expression, Laura smiled slightly. Xian has always held back. His grandmother can't bear to see him go to war with his own parents. So, before he decides to make a move, why would I interfere? If my man wants something done, I'll help him see it through. If he wants to handle the Mo family himself, I'll step aside. My job is just to make sure nothing stands in his way. Huijie watched Laura's unsettling smile. It was far more terrifying than her usual cold demeanor. As the vice president with nearly as much power as Lo Tian himself, Huijie never thought Laura was out of line. In a world ruled by wealth, the person in charge couldn't afford to be soft-hearted. But when it came to Mo Xian, Laura lost all sense of reason. Everything she did was driven by a deep, obsessive love for him. Yes, miss. I understand, Huijie replied simply. She didn't need to question her. She only needed to follow orders. After parting ways with Lo Muki at school, Mo Xian headed straight for the library. He spent the entire morning buried in a term paper. By noon, just as he was about to head to the cafeteria, Lo Muki called. Brother, want to grab lunch together? Just about to go, Mo Xian said as he stepped out of the library. You done over there? Yup. Let's meet at the cafeteria. Mo Xian arrived at the cafeteria not long after. As he walked in, a few underclassmen girls couldn't help but glance his way. Wow, that senior is so good-looking. He's tall too, and his build looks amazing. Don't bother. That's senior Mo Xian. They call him the Iron Wall. No girls ever successfully confessed to him. With a face and physique like his, Mo Xian could easily be a playboy if he wanted. But since dating Su Yanran in his freshman year, his focus had been entirely on his child and his studies. He turned down every confession that came his way, politely but firmly. Besides, he wasn't the type to fool around. He didn't know who gave him that nickname, but he never cared to correct it. Honestly, it saved him trouble. To him, making up for past mistakes and being there for his daughter had always been more important. Now, tangled up with two dangerously seductive women, he didn't even have the mental space for romance. Mo Sr., a small, adorable-looking underclassman girl, stepped in front of him, her face flushed with nervous excitement. Hi, can I help you? Mo Xian asked. His deep, magnetic voice made her cheeks flush even more. Can I add you on WeChat? She stammered, holding out her phone with trembling hands. Mo Xian paused, feeling a little awkward. Sorry, that might not be such a good. Before he could finish, a pair of arms suddenly wrapped around him from behind. Lo Muki hugged him around the waist and smiled sweetly. Brother, I was only gone a little while, and already some girl is trying to get her contact info. Sorry about that, Mo Xian said with a wry smile, turning to the underclassman. But before she could say a word, she caught Lo Muki's eyes. That terrifying wide-eyed grin. A glint of red flashed in her pupils. He's mine. Get lost, Lo Muki mouthed slowly and clearly. The poor girl bolted before she could even squeak out a reply. Is she okay? Mo Xian asked, confused. Why'd she run off like that? Maybe she remembered something urgent? Lo Muki replied, innocently. Don't worry about her, brother. You're such a bad boy, she added with a playful pout. Flirting with other girls behind my back and my sister's. I wasn't. I didn't even say yes. Mo Xian fumbled, flustered by her accusation. Lo Muki giggled behind her hand, then slipped her arm through his and whispered, Brother, you have to be good. No talking to any girls unless it's me or sis, okay? Around them, students were already murmuring. So he's dating Lo Muki, the campus goddess? That explains everything. Well, with his looks, he's probably the only one worthy of her. Damn, a whole bunch of students are about to have their hearts broken. Mo Xian felt like his head was about to explode. He hated drawing attention, but Lo Muki didn't care at all. In fact, she seemed thrilled that everyone knew. If you really feel bad, then give me a kiss, Lo Muki said, eyes sparkling mischievously like a little devil with a swaying tail. Otherwise, I'll tell sis you're flirting behind our backs. Don't mess around, Muki. Mo Xian looked around at the crowd, embarrassed beyond belief. But Lone Yuki wasn't letting him off the hook. With no other choice, Imo-Shien leaned down and gave her a quick kiss. In a far corner, a male student slammed his hand on the table, eyes burning with rage and humiliation as he glared at the two of them. Imo-Chi clung tightly to Imo-Shien's left arm like she was glued to him, leaving him no choice but to give up on getting food for her. I can't get you anything to eat if you hold on to me like this. Imo-Shien looked at her helplessly. Give me a kiss, or I'm not letting go, Imo-Chi said, gripping his shirt with a look of unhealthy obsession flickering in her eyes. It only lasted a moment, but Imo-Shien noticed it. Imo-Chi, are you okay? He asked, suddenly feeling a chill down his spine. But when he looked again, her gaze had returned to its usual warmth. Stop messing around. Let's eat, he said. Fine. Imo-Chi finally let go, a sweet smile returning to her face. If you're free this afternoon, let's go out, okay? My thesis. Before he could finish, Imo-Chi looked at him with a pout and a hint of pleading in her voice. You mean, we're not a couple anymore? What about the night before last? Fine. We'll go wherever you want. Imo-Shien quickly agreed, afraid she'd say something outrageous in public. He didn't notice the glint that flashed across her eyes. You're so obedient, she said with a giggle. Okay then, we'll go out after lunch. She tugged on his hand. I'll go find a seat. Can you give me some food, pretty please? Imo-Shien nodded, and Imo-Chi finally let go, happily picking a window seat. She took out her phone and sent a message. Book me a suite at the hotel closest to Kyoto University under my name. Just a side note, about 2/3 of Kyoto's luxury and theme hotels were either owned by Imo-Chi and Luo-Shia or had them as majority shareholders. The remaining third? That belonged to Luo-Tian. Imo-Shien got himself a large portion of fried rice, and for Imo-Chi, he picked beef noodles, seafood, and a cup of fragrant jasmine tea. After setting everything up, he used a wet wipe to clean the chopsticks before handing them to her. They had just started eating when three guys walked over. The one leading them shot Imo-Shien a cold look and demanded, You turn me down for him? Imo-Shien recognized him. Xiao Gu, the second son of the prestigious Xiao family in Kyoto. He was a student in the art department and 1 year younger than Imo-Chi, backed by the massive resources of the Xiao family's entertainment empire. Oh, and he had been chasing after Imo-Chi for years. Imo-Chi acted like she didn't even see him. She peeled a shrimp and held it up to Imo-Shien with a sweet voice. Eat up, big brother. I can't finish all this by myself. Imo-Shien awkwardly opened his mouth while she wiped her hands with a napkin, then glanced briefly at Xiao Gu, whose expression looked like he'd just swallowed something bitter. She tilted her head. Sorry, were you talking to me? Xiao Gu looked like a vein was about to pop. He pointed at Imo-Shien, his voice dripping with disdain. You turned down a marriage alliance with my family. For him, I've chased you for 2.5 years, and this is how you repay me. He wasn't lying. Xiao Gu had indeed pursued Imo-Chi for 2.5 years. Imo-Shien had heard about it, though Imo-Chi never spared the guy a glance. When Imo-Shien once asked her why, she replied, Sometimes I forget he even exists. Sorry, but just because you chase me doesn't mean I owe you anything, Imo-Chi said coldly. Gone was the softness from moments ago. Her face was blank, her tone distant. If you're done, could you step aside? You're ruining my lunch with my brother. Xiao Ji's face darkened. One of the guys behind him tugged on his sleeve, whispering, Let it go, man. That's the second miss of the Luo family. They were all from elite families. Getting on Imo-Chi's bad side meant risking a beating from your own father once you got home. But Xiao Gu didn't back down. He shook off his friend and looked at Imo-Chi with a pained expression. You didn't like me? Then why were you so friendly before? I get it. You're intimidated now that I've become a top-tier celebrity and have too many fangirls, right? That made not only Imo-Shien and Imo-Chi raise their eyebrows, but even the students eavesdropping nearby couldn't help but roll their eyes. You might get away with that line in front of someone else, but saying it to Imo-Chi, the second princess of a corporate empire? Get real. I'm not intimidated, she said bluntly. Xiao Gu, if you keep pestering me, don't blame me for embarrassing your family. That hit a nerve. He reached out to grab her arm, but Imo-Shien shoved him away before he could touch her and stood up protectively in front of Imo-Chi, adjusting his glasses. Please show some respect. Imo-Shien stood at 6 feet 2 inches, towering over Xiao Gu, who was barely 5 foot 11 inch. The height difference alone gave Imo-Shien a dominant presence. Xiao Gu squared up, trying not to be intimidated, and sneered. Oh, I know you. Imo-Shien, the Imo family's reject. Your own brother stole your fiancée, and this is who you picked, Imo-Chi. Before he could say anything more, Imo-Chi kicked him hard in the gut. She had trained in self-defense, taekwondo, and MMA. In high heels, no less. Xiao Ge staggered back several steps, clutching his stomach and collapsing onto the floor. "If you insult my brother again, I'll kill you," P2.She said, her voice ice-cold. P2.She scratched his head awkwardly and whispered, shouldn't I be the one handling this? I don't care. No one's allowed to insult you," she snapped, eyes gleaming with fury. "And when did I ever give you the impression I liked you?" she said, turning back to Xiao Ge. "You better explain that right now." He dared to slander her, in front of P2.She of all people. P2.She had loved only one person her entire life, P2.She, and she wouldn't let anyone cast doubt on that. You smiled at me at that banquet. Several times," Xiao Ge stammered. Even his own friends rolled their eyes. "Seriously? She smiled at you, so now you think she likes you? Bro, you're living proof of the three great delusions. I have money, I have talent, and she likes me." "She smiled at me too," a girl nearby added. "Guess that means she likes me now." "I thought this was going to be some tragic love triangle," someone else muttered. "But this is just sad. Why does he think he even compares to P2.She? Taller, better looking, and a PhD candidate at 23. Meanwhile, you're a walking prop in the entertainment industry." The murmurs grew louder, and Xiao Ji's face turned an alarming shade of red. P2.She chuckled coldly. "What? I should have slapped you at the banquet instead of smiling." You. He tried to argue, but the pain from that kick was too much. "And for the record," she added sharply, "I don't even remember seeing you at that banquet. Yet you've stalked me for 2.5 years. Then she turned back to P2.She, her tone instantly soft and tender. "He's lying, big brother. I've only ever liked you." P2.She believed her. After all, they had a child together. Xiao Ge clenched his jaw to hold back the nausea. "You'll regret this, P2.She." But she didn't even acknowledge him. Her eyes were on P2.She again. "Want to go eat somewhere else, big brother? How about Korean barbecue?" P2.She could feel the daggers in the eyes of everyone around them. Dating the heiress of a financial empire was one thing. Having her kick Xiao Ge for him, then act all love-struck on top of that? This wasn't just PDA. This was a public execution. He didn't even respond. He just grabbed her hand and hurried out of the cafeteria. Behind them, Xiao Ge couldn't hold it in anymore. He bent over and vomited. By the end of the day, Xiao Ge throws up at Kyoto University was trending on social media. But as for the part where he got kicked by P2.She and humiliated in front of P2.She, not a whisper of it made it online. In a parking lot, Su Yanran stepped out of her Porsche. Her sole purpose for coming to the school was to find P2.She. She wasn't foolish enough to actually expose P2.She's involvement with Luo Xia and Luo Myuki. The Luo family could easily suppress such a scandal. Even if the truth got out, so what? The Luos had countless ways to distance themselves. However, if it were discovered that she was behind it, the Su family would be destroyed by the Luos that very day. She was different from P2.She. The Su family had a son and a daughter, but her father also intended for her to take over part of the family business. P2.She couldn't care less about the dealings of the business world, nor did he have any interest in prying. But Su Yanran knew very well that Luo Xia, Luo Myuki, and even Luo Tian, who appeared to be such a gentleman, were all part of the Luo family, monsters who would devour you whole. On the other hand, Su Yanran had already begun to wield a significant degree of real power within her family's company. Luo Xia had been right about one thing. If Su Yanran wanted P2.She back, she had to make a choice. Just as she was pondering what to say when she saw P2.She, Su Yanran looked up and spotted him walking towards the parking lot with Luo Myuki not far away. Su Yanran froze for a moment, then quickly ducked out of sight. If Luo Myuki was there, she wouldn't be able to accomplish anything. "Gidge, after we finish the barbecue, let's go rest for a bit," Luo Myuki said, linking her arm with P2.She's, her voice soft and sweet. "I've booked a hotel suite, you know." "Yes, sweet." P2.She almost choked. "Stop kidding around, Myuki. Didn't you ask me to hang out with you this afternoon?" "Yeah, I booked a suite so we could play games, right?" Luo Myuki dangled her phone and winked at P2.She. "Gidge, what did you think?" I thought you wanted to watch a movie." P2.She's face instantly turned red. Back when they were in school together, this girl would often drag him to a hotel when they had no classes in the afternoon, to play co-op games or watch movies and anime series. But given their current situation, P2.She couldn't help but let his imagination run wild, momentarily forgetting that in the past, they truly had just innocently gone to hotels to play games. Noticing P2.She's blush, Luo Myuki's lips curved into a slight smile, and she deliberately fired off a series of questions. "Gidge, why is your face red? Gidge, why are your ears red too? It's not cold. Gidge, why did you just swallow? And why are you so hot? Are you thinking of doing something? Imo-shin grew even more flustered by her questions, but Luo Miyuki wouldn't let him off, pressing him further. Gidge, kiss me, or I'll keep going. MMPH. Everyone has their limits. After being teased by this girl for so long, Imo-shin finally couldn't resist and kissed her. However, with an obsessive gleam in her eyes, Luo Miyuki wrapped her arms around Imo-shin's neck and forcefully deepened the kiss. Why did he feel like he'd been played by this girl again? Imo-shin felt like he'd fallen into a trap, but her sweet scent made him instinctively tighten his grip around Luo Miyuki's waist, unwilling to let go. Gidge, I don't want barbecue anymore. Luo Miyuki's eyes seemed misty, her face flushed red. She slowly stood on her tiptoes, leaned close to Imo-shin's ear, and whispered in an incredibly soft voice, I want to eat you. Be good, let's go eat first. Imo-shin was a normal man. Being around these devastatingly beautiful sisters every day, constantly teased by them, intentionally or not, and now having a physical relationship with them. Inside the hotel suite, Luo Miyuki lay on the bed, her fingers tightly entwined with Imo-shin's, as if they could never be separated. It was as though she feared he might disappear, and only by holding him like this could she be sure he was real. For more than 2 hours, the storm of passion raged, irrational and consuming, before finally dying down. Miyuki, Imo-shin gently held the woman in his arms. You're acting a little strange. Yeah, big brother, I am strange. Her voice was hoarse, yet her eyes were full of longing as she looked at him. I'm poisoned, a kind of poison that makes it impossible for me to live without you. She had been poisoned ever since she saw him for the first time 10 years ago, perched in a tree. Did she really love this kind of intimacy so much? She didn't know. But it was only during these moments that she felt like she and Imo-shin were truly one. 3 years. That was the plan Luo Xia had set. 3 years of careful preparation to create this day. They had deliberately fostered the bond between Imo-shin and the child, even if it drove her and Luo Xia mad with jealousy. It wasn't that they didn't love their daughter. It was that they both longed desperately to be held by Imo-shin the way she was. He had lost parts of his memory. He had forgotten the sisters. God knew how long they had endured, how much they had planned and sacrificed for this day. Don't leave me. Luo Miyuki curled up in Imo-shin's arms, fragile and clinging, her tone a mix of plea and coquettish charm. Imo-shin didn't answer. He only held her tighter. Do you know why I love red roses? She suddenly asked. Imo-shin blinked, caught off guard as she looked up at him. Because someone once said they wanted to be the kind of person who was loved so much they could get away with anything. A flicker of memory flashed across Imo-shin's mind. Just a glimpse like broken glass, gone before he could hold on to it. A boy and a girl sitting under a tree, sharing a pair of headphones. Then the image shattered. He suddenly remembered his favorite songs, Red Rose and White Rose. But why he loved them, he couldn't recall. Luo Xia loved white roses. Luo Miyuki loved red ones. His head throbbed, as if something inside was trying to break free, but couldn't. Don't think about it. Luo Miyuki sat up abruptly, wrapping her arms tightly around his head. I can make you feel like you're the most loved man in the world. Forever. I'll never let you slip away. Her voice was like a sedative, soothing and warm. Lately, it seemed that as long as he could hear the soft whispers of Miyuki and Xia by his side, Imo-shin felt strangely at peace. Exhaustion washed over him. He slowly closed his eyes and dreamed. He was 13 again. In the dream, he saw 2 girls, one big, one small, but their faces were blurred. Still, looking at them made him feel safe. He reached out. Suddenly, Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki appeared on either side of him, wrapping their arms around him. Their expressions made his heart race with unease. A giant cage enclosed the 3 of them. They squeezed him tighter and tighter. They didn't hurt him, but he couldn't breathe. Panic set in. He struggled, but they wouldn't let go. No matter how hard he fought, he couldn't escape. Imo-shin bolted upright, drenched in cold sweat. He instinctively looked to his side. Miyuki was gone. Miyuki, he called softly. Suddenly, the lights snapped on. His eyes flinched from the brightness, and he raised a hand to shield himself. Disappointed it's not my sister? Luo Xia's cool voice rang out, tinged with a hint of jealousy. Xia, what are you? Imo-shin stared at her, stunned. She didn't answer. She simply began removing her black coat, revealing a fitted black blouse and a sleek black pencil skirt that hugged her figure. Her long, slender legs were clad in sheer stockings. Kicking off her high heels like she was throwing a tantrum, she straddled P2.She's lap with quiet force. Her eyes were cold, but also full of wounded fury. My sister went home. Someone has to take care of the kid. As for you, she gripped P2.She's chin between her fingers. You pissed me off. Now you've got to make it up to me. There was an almost frantic frustration in the way she yanked open the collar of her blouse. She started kissing him, his face, his lips, savage, harsh, almost like she wanted to devour him. Does it hurt? She whispered, bracing herself on his shoulders, her eyes burning red. Unlike P2.She was more dominant, more obsessive. I'll make it hurt even more. Xian, even if I've agreed to share you with my sister, I'll make sure you can never forget me, no matter what. With that, she crushed her lips against his again, hungry while claiming him completely. Compared to P2.She seemed even more unhinged. That was the only thought left in P2.She's mind. Eventually, the storm passed. They collapsed onto the couch, tangled together. P2.She's tightly braided hair had come undone, spilling wildly over her shoulders. Xian, her eyes were hazy, laced with madness, as she kissed his cheek again. Do you think I went too far? P2.She let out a tired chuckle. I'm the one who went too far. Yeah, you did, she said gently, her fingers brushing his hair. But I don't care. I'd do anything for you. When you're at a disadvantage, you have to be cunning. Isn't that right? The lyrics of White Rose. P2.She wanted to ask, but P2.She didn't give him the chance. She covered his mouth with her hand and whispered into his ear. Xian, this is the dream we gave you. Even if it's a nightmare, it's the most beautiful nightmare. Stay in it, willingly. Don't wake up. Don't question me. The only thing you need to do is love us. With everything you have. Don't leave me, Xian. If you do, I might just destroy myself. His mind faded again into a white void. When it was all over, P2.She clung tightly to him, as if afraid he might disappear. She softly hummed White Rose. Though it was a sad love song, P2.She felt an overwhelming sense of calm. This love, twisted, obsessive, insane, was irrational. But P2.She drank it in like it was sweet honey. It had nothing to do with money or anything else. P2.She and P2.She were like vines that had wrapped themselves around his heart, inch by inch, until he was completely entangled. And maybe, just maybe, P2.She himself wasn't quite normal anymore, either. When P2.She arrived at the hotel suite that morning, she was somewhat speechless looking at P2.She and P2.She. P2.She was still sound asleep. P2.She had clearly just showered and was blow-drying her hair with the hotel's hairdryer. Sis, you ain't more ruthless than me. P2.She sighed, placing a change of clothes on the table. I'm afraid you've completely worn brother out, haven't you? P2.She shot her a look, tossed her hair, and walked out to change into the clothes P2.She had brought, a sharp black suit. Is everything okay at home? How are Wei and Shuer? Huh, when you stormed over here yesterday and told me to go home, you weren't singing this tune, were you? Hearing P2.She's question, P2.She found it amusing. Now her sister was suddenly concerned about the children. P2.She sat on a chair, stunningly beautiful even without a trace of makeup. Sis, with all this activity, do you think there might be a second baby on the way? Hearing P2.She's words, P2.She couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. We'll have to find a way to mitigate that risk. Those two little rascals are already enough of a handful when it comes to vying for attention. You want to talk? It would have been much better if you'd taken brother home yesterday, P2.She said irritably. Wei and Shuer nearly cried the house down, and brother just slept through all. P2.She retorted with cold sarcasm. Huh, I didn't see you showing him any pity when you were having your way with him. Sis, now you're just being unreasonable. You're even more relentless with him than I am. P2.She sat up weakly, his eyes still hazy with sleep, and said tiredly, I want to sleep a bit more. Please, don't fight. With that, he flopped straight back down. Even with his excellent stamina, one tiger couldn't fend off two wolves. A flicker of tenderness crossed P2.She's eyes. She said to P2.She, call the best restaurant under the Luo group and have them prepare a meal and send it over. Let's take good care of Xian today. Sis, what about the company? Isn't our cousin still there? P2.She said, as if it were the most natural thing. It's settled then. After Xian finishes eating, we'll go to the hot springs. Sis, are you sure the three of us in a hot spring? That the two of us will let him rest? Good point. Let's have Uncle Zheng bring the kids over there then. At that moment, Luo Tan, who was at the company, shuddered. After a moment's thought, he picked up his phone and called his wife. Honey, bring the kids to the office tonight. Yes, to keep me company while I work overtime. Don't ask why. I just have a feeling the emperor won't be holding court again today. Xian slept for another hour before waking up. The enticing aroma of food wafted over. Seeing Xian awake, Luo Miyuki threw herself into his arms, cooing, Brother, you're awake. Go take a shower quickly. I got you breakfast. Luo Xia, sitting by the head of the bed, saw Xian wake up. She reached out, gently stroked his somewhat messy hair, and said softly, I'm sorry, Xian. I've booked a hot spring resort. Let's have a good rest today. The children. Xian thought of his two little darlings. Luo Xia chuckled lightly and said, Uncle Zheng will have them join us there in the afternoon. Don't worry. Xian let out a long breath. He had thought he'd be able to go home last night, but instead, his two daughters must be very anxious. They were usually so clingy, and he hadn't been back for a whole day and night. He was about to get up to wash, then paused, sat down again, and said a bit awkwardly, Miyuki, could you pass me my clothes? Luo Miyuki chuckled, reaching out to caress Xian's firm chest. Brother, why are you suddenly so shy now? Go on, I brought you new clothes. No, it's just, I still feel awkward. Even though things had already progressed this far between him and the two of them, Xian still felt a little embarrassed. In the end, Luo Xia handed him his pants. He put them on under the covers before dashing to the bathroom to shower. The suite had one bedroom and a living room. After showering and changing, he came out to find the food already laid out on the coffee table. However, seeing the dishes before him, Xian fell into deep thought. Brother, what's wrong? Luo Miyuki saw Xian staring blankly at the food and thought perhaps it wasn't lavish enough. Do you think there isn't enough food? That's not it. The problem is. Xian pointed to the familiar stamina-boosting set meal. Why do I feel like I've had this before? This is for your own good. Even with great stamina, you still need to replenish it, right? Luo Xia carefully picked out a piece of oyster meat and placed it in Xian's rice container. Be good now, eat up. Xian, resigned, could only eat in frustration. Just then his phone suddenly rang. Luo Xia decisively snatched it away. Seeing the caller ID, Ching, she frowned slightly. She must be calling to discuss the share acquisition, right? Xian sneered. Let me take it, Xia. The sooner this damn business is over, the better. Luo Xia nodded and told Xian to put on speaker. Xian did as he was told. Once the call connected, Ching's voice, tinged with a hint of ease, came through. When can we meet? I have the money ready. You name the time, but not today. Xian put down his chopsticks, picked up a bottle of mineral water, twisted it open, and took a sip. I thought you'd need more time. 600 million isn't a small sum for you, is it? That's not your concern. However, I have one more condition. Don't worry, our deal is still a deal. This condition is just to facilitate better cooperation between us in the future. Xian frowned slightly. What could he possibly have that Ching would find worth negotiating for? I want to meet that benefactor of yours. When Xian didn't respond, Ching continued on her own. I don't know who you've managed to connect with, but as long as you introduce me, once everything is settled, I'll return these shares to you. She certainly knew how to seize an opportunity. Xian couldn't help but find it ridiculous. Ching truly lived up to being Changshan's well-groomed daughter, never letting any chance slip by. However, Xian knew the family's traits all too well. They'd say all the right things, but the moment they got what they wanted, they'd turn their backs and pretend they never knew you. Just as Xian was about to refuse, Luo Xia tugged his sleeve and nodded at him. Xian was puzzled, but seeing Luo Xia's determined expression, he reluctantly replied, All right, on the day I come to transfer the shares, I'll bring her to meet you. Good. 3 days from now, 7 in the evening at Qinliju. After hanging up, Xian looked at Luo Xia, somewhat perplexed, and asked curiously, Xia, you don't need to meet her, do you? I know. That's why I'm not going, am I? Luo Xia's face was full of smiles. And of course, Miyuki isn't going either. Xian had no idea what Luo Xia was scheming. She didn't elaborate further, instead urging Xian to hurry up and eat. Coaxed by the two sisters in turns, Xian eventually ate all the oysters and drank all the bullwhip soup, all in the name of preventative measures, so to speak. Meanwhile, Su Yanran was incredibly vexed. She had mentioned the matter to her grandmother yesterday. Grandma Su had been reluctant, as Su Yanran's actions had made her lose face and her credibility with an old friend. But in the end, She was her granddaughter, so Grandma, Sue had finally agreed. But today, Mo Jinping had been calling her relentlessly, one call after another. Su Yinran, thoroughly annoyed, finally answered with a sigh of resignation. Yinran, you've been back for so long, and we haven't even met yet. Hearing Mo Jinping's voice, Su Yinran felt even more irritated. She asked, her tone tinged with coldness, "What is it?" "My second and third sisters are going to a hot spring, and they'd like to invite you to come along." P2.She had booked Kyoto's most famous hot spring hotel. Of course, she was a major shareholder. The hotel grounds were not only vast, but also divided into two sections. The front housed the main hotel with public hot spring baths, while the rear featured two-story guest houses with private hot springs. It went without saying that the latter was more expensive than staying in a main hotel, but it offered tranquility, greater privacy, and more comfortable rooms. More importantly, the greenery and flowers around the guest house area were meticulously maintained by the hotel, creating a picturesque landscape. Thus, this hotel was also an internet-famous spot in Kyoto, boasting excellent service and a distinctive buffet. A concierge respectfully led P2.She, P2.Muyuki, and a yawning Mo Xian to the guest house area. P2.She had pre-booked the quietest guest house. The moment the door opened, two little ones rushed to Mo Xian, hugging his legs and looking up at their father pitifully. "Mr. Mo, you're finally here." Uncle Zheng looked exhausted, and the nanny with him appeared utterly drained. With Mo Xian away, the two little ones had been crying and fussing. If P2.Muyuki hadn't returned yesterday to reassure them that their daddy was busy but would be back tomorrow, no one would have gotten any sleep last night. Meanwhile, the Luo sisters, the instigators of this situation, acted as if nothing was wrong. P2.She, slightly miffed, crouched down and gently pinched Luo Weier's cheek. "Daddy was with Mommy yesterday. He can't just ignore Mommy now that he has you, can he? Daddy wants Weier, not Mommy." P2.She was speechless. "This ungrateful little thing. You wouldn't even exist without me." Over on the other side, Luo also looked at Mo Xian with a wronged expression. "Daddy, don't want bad Mommy and bad Annie. Want Shuer and sister." P2.Muyuki, annoyed, grabbed the back of her collar, pulled her closer, and threatened, "Believe it or not, I'll give you a little brother or sister, and then Daddy won't care about you anymore." This scared the two little ones into shaking their heads vigorously, insisting they didn't want a baby brother or sister no matter what. "All right, you two, that's enough," Mo Xian said, a headache coming on. "Uncle Zheng, thank you for your hard work. How about I take them for a walk nearby? The scenery here looks quite nice." "Okay, don't go too far." P2.She stood up, holding Luo Weier, and kissed her daughter's chubby little cheek. "I'll have the hotel send over some desserts later for when you and the girls get back for a hot spring bath. Eldest miss, second miss, the little misses have been safely brought over, so we'll be heading back now." Uncle Zheng was sharp. He wasn't about to be a third wheel in this situation. P2.She nodded, then took out her car keys and handed them to Uncle Zheng. "Take my car back. We'll take Mo Xian's car home tomorrow." Uncle Zheng took the keys and noticed a small note attached to them. He showed no reaction, simply leaving with the two nannies. It wasn't until he reached the parking lot that Uncle Zheng unfolded the note. It contained a single sentence: "Arrange for Mo Jinping to have an incident." Uncle Zheng immediately burned the note with a lighter he carried, dropped it on the ground, and waited until it was completely consumed by flames before stamping it out with his foot. Then, he took out his phone and made a call. "Get ready. Tomorrow, Mo Jinping must make the headlines." Mo Xian had no idea what P2.She was planning. He was simply strolling nearby with his two daughters. The October weather in Kyoto had already turned cool. Many of the flowers and trees at the hot spring hotel were beginning to turn yellow, yet this lent a unique charm to the scenery. The two little ones held Mo Xian's hands with their chubby little fingers, looking around. With their daddy by their side, everything seemed beautiful. Mo Xian," a voice tinged with surprise and astonishment sounded from behind him. Mo Xian frowned and glanced back. Su Yinran stood a short distance away. She quickly closed the gap between them. When she saw the two little girls, her eyes visibly dimmed. She hadn't expected to run into Mo Xian again here today, especially after seeing him with P2.Muyuki at the school yesterday. Su Yinran hadn't wanted to come. She didn't want to see Mo Jinping. However, Mo Jinping had told her that only his two sisters would be there and he wouldn't. In truth, Mo Jinping was also extremely dissatisfied with Su Yinran. But, after all, she was the most suitable marriage partner, and they were the main liaisons for the cooperation between their two families. He knew she didn't want to see him because she regretted her choices, But he didn't care. He had other women on the side and had never truly cared for Su Yanran. As for this occasion, it was purely his two sisters acting on their own initiative, insisting on roping in Su Yanran. He was merely going with the flow. Neither of them had expected to meet here. Is there something I can help you with? Mo Xian's tone was distant. My children's mother is here, and we need to head back soon. Su Yanran suppressed the ache in her heart and forced a smile. I truly regret it, Mo Xian. Can you give me a chance? 3 years of high school, 1 year of university. We were together for so long. Can't you forgive me just this once? Mo Xian looked at Su Yanran before him. A gentle breeze rustled her long, beautiful hair. Her face was still as pretty as he remembered, perhaps even with an added touch of allure. Yet, looking at her now, Mo Xian felt nothing but calm. Yanran, you're mistaken. I didn't forgive you just once, but many times. From the first time you accepted a gift from Mo Jinping, I knew you were wavering. It was a limited edition bracelet. If I recall correctly, from that day on, you never wore the one I gave you again, did you? Mo Xian gestured to Su Yanran's left wrist. The bracelet he had saved up for a long time to buy for her 17th birthday. Understood. After all, my funds as a young master of the Mo family weren't as plentiful as Mo Jinping's. I brought it up once, and you called me sensitive and berated me. But I don't think any guy would be okay with his girlfriend accepting overtures from someone else. After the college entrance exams, I want to take you out to celebrate. You said your family was arranging a celebratory dinner for your university admission, so you couldn't go. In reality, you were having dinner with Mo Jinping that day. He even set his social media post about it to be visible only to me. Mo Xian paused, looking at Su Yanran, whose face had turned somewhat pale. He then asked, do I need to say more? You've done things like this quite a few times. I find it rather pointless to dredge up an ex-girlfriend's old misdeeds after all this time. It's not in my character. Mo Xian. I can explain. Su Yanran started to step forward, intending to grab Mo Xian's arm, but seeing the two little ones, her hand froze in midair. It doesn't matter anymore. Let the past be the past. Mo Xian sighed. I told you last time, we should both move on. You can see my situation now. Dividing one's heart in two would be very unfair to their mother. Besides, I have daughters now. Do you really think I could possibly make room for a first love who betrayed me? Su Yanran swayed, lightly steadying herself against a nearby plane tree, her eyes filled with bitterness. Mo Xian, I told you, I can treat them like my own daughters. And even if you left them, the Luo family could give them the best. If you like children, I can have them for you too. Su Yanran seemed to recall something and then said in a flustered manner, That day at the hotel, it was my fault, but Mo Jinping and we didn't do anything. Mo Xian let out a sarcastic laugh. Su Yanran, do you really want me to say something harsh? I know exactly what kind of person Mo Jinping is. Even if you didn't know back then, you should know by now. You spent a night in a hotel with someone like him, and he didn't touch you? Do you even believe that yourself? Mo Xian shook his head and continued. As I said, I forgave you many times. Actually, after that incident, you should have noticed me keeping my distance. I wanted to break up with you several times, but for us to break up, I would have had to approach Grandma Su, as our engagement was arranged by our family's elders. I had genuinely invested my feelings, so I told my grandmother to find time to discuss this with Grandma Su. If you recall that period, you'll remember I didn't initiate contact with you anymore. Later, I cut ties with my family. You were the one who proposed the breakup, strongly insisting the engagement be switched to Mo Jinping. And you even went public with your relationship with him, correct? Su Yanran, the only reasons I'm still willing to talk to you calmly now are, firstly, because you saved me when I was 15, and secondly, because we've known each other for so long. Now, you've gotten what you wished for and married into the Mo family. I have my own life, too. There's no need for us to keep getting entangled, is there? Su Yanran looked at Mo Xian dejectedly, searching his eyes with a hint of unwillingness to give up, hoping to find something there. But all she saw was calmness, indifference, nothing more. If I hadn't gone abroad back then, if I had looked for you, if it weren't for the Luo sisters, would you still give me a chance? Su Yanran's voice was hoarse, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably. Mo Xian glanced at her and sighed softly. Even without them, I wouldn't have chosen you again. Yanran, you were the one who didn't want me. How can you not remember that? I never said I didn't want you. The suppressed emotions made Su Yanran almost hysterical. Luo Weier and Luo Shuier, frightened, clung to Mo Xian's legs, watching her nervously. Mo Xian reached out and gently stroked their heads, then looked at Su Yanran and said, So, Imo, you know very well that our engagement was because at the very least, you were still the Mo family's younger son. Su Yanran said, agitated. You knew our engagement also involved a family alliance. But what about you? When you severed ties with your family, why didn't you even consider me? How else was I supposed to consider you? Imo couldn't help but sneer. Su Yanran, Rome wasn't built in a day, and a heart doesn't die in a day either. If you insist on digging up the past, fine. I'll list a few more things. On my birthday, you gave my gift to Imo Jinping, all because he said I stole money from home, and you believe him and wanted to teach me a lesson. When we were out on dates, your phone was constantly buzzing as you were busy texting Imo Jinping. I didn't live in the dorm because you said you wanted a private place for us. I rented an apartment, but then your family disapproved, so you moved into the school dorm. Because of that, Imo Jinping often drove to see you. You went out to eat with him, had milk tea. Did you think I was completely clueless? Su Yanran, if you had just admitted your heart had changed, I wouldn't have held it against you. Later, you blamed me for not contacting you, for being cold. I asked you if you knew what was going on, and how did you reply? You actually thought I was the one whose feelings had changed. It was your choices, one after another, that forced me to cut you out of my life. To be honest, do you know why I wasn't heartbroken when we broke up? Because my heart had already died when it came to you. Su Yanran stared blankly at Imo. On Imo's 18th birthday, Su Yanran had bought him limited edition sneakers. But because Imo Jinping, while chatting with her, casually mentioned Imo stealing money from home, she, in a fit of anger, gave the sneakers to Imo Jinping right in front of Imo, under the guise of teaching him a lesson. Yet, she should have known Imo's character better than anyone. Still, she did it. Imo Jinping frequented bars and nightclubs and naturally knew how to sweet-talk girls, while Imo wasn't one for beating around the bush. He preferred to show his feelings through actions. Su Yanran felt Imo wasn't considered enough and preferred chatting with Imo Jinping. Originally, she had wanted to live with Imo. This wasn't her intentionally misleading him. Her parents simply didn't approve of her cohabiting with him so early. But Imo living off campus gave Imo Jinping opportunities to frequently show up and make his presence known to her. Su Yanran always insisted Imo was her boyfriend, yet she still went out with Imo Jinping, completely disregarding Imo feelings. When others asked, she'd just say he was Imo older brother. The most disgusting part was her claim that Imo had a bad relationship with his family, and that his brother was seeing her to help mend it. But every time they went out and Imo was mentioned, it was always Imo Jinping sowing discord. After that incident at the hotel, Imo attitude towards her became extremely cold. He even focused solely on his studies and rarely contacted her. Su Yanran, with her guilty conscience, tried to turn the tables and blame him, but all she got in return was Imo's even deeper disappointment. Daddy, let's go home. Luo Weier gently tugged Imo's hand, her eyes red. If Daddy doesn't talk to this auntie, Daddy won't be angry anymore. Luo Schwerer didn't speak, but reached out her small hand to hold her father's fingers. Imo calmed himself, smiled, and picked up his daughters, comforting them softly. It's okay now. Daddy will take you home, all right? He turned to Su Yanran. Su Yanran, I really don't understand the point of all this. You were the one who wanted the marriage, and you were the one who gave up on me. You left the country, and now you're back telling me you want to get back together. Imo, I truly regret it. Su Yanran visibly deflated. Back then, I admit I wavered. Imo Jinping is very persuasive, you know that. And I was angry too, when you cut ties with your family. My parents initially agreed to our marriage alliance, not just because of my grandmother's wishes, but more so because you were at least a young master of the Imo family. My engagement to Imo Jinping was unavoidable. Our families have so many business collaborations. Although we officially announced it, I was never truly with him. I'm still innocent. For 3 years, I never forgot you, Imo. I truly regret it. Can we? Before Su Yanran could finish, Luo Miyuki's sarcastic voice interjected. Well, isn't Miss Su eager to hit on someone else's father? Luo Miyuki walked over, took Luo Schwerer from Imo and grabbed his hand, saying, Brother, you're being so disobedient, getting tangled up with your ex-girlfriend out here. No, Imo hastily explained. We just ran into each other. I was just clearing some things up. I didn't do anything. You can ask the girls. Seeing the two little ones nod, Luo Miyuki humphed lightly and said, Let's go back quickly. Brother, you really can't be left unsupervised for a moment. Maybe I should discuss it with sister. Lock brother up and keep him with us forever. The mere thought of brother interacting with that hussy makes me want to kill her. Luo Miyuki suppressed her inner frenzy and pulled Mo-Shin away. Su Yanran wanted to say more, but not far off, Luo Xia stood with her arms crossed, watching her. Just meeting her icy gaze made Su Yanran shiver with fear. She knew these two sisters were lunatics who could crush her with ease. When Luo Xia saw Mo-Shin, her frosty expression instantly melted. She playfully pinched Mo-Shin's cheek and said with feigned annoyance, "I'll deal with you when we get back. Go on, I'll get rid of her for you." After Mo-Shin and Luo Miyuki left with the children, Luo Xia turned back, her gaze once again icy as she looked at Su Yanran. She tossed out coldly, "Until you do what I've asked, everything you say is just an excuse." With that, Luo Xia turned and left. Su Yanran, as if drained of all strength, sank to the ground in a daze. Yes, any explanation now is just an excuse. "I'm sorry, I didn't expect to run into her." Once inside, Mo-Shin immediately apologized to Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki. "I just want to make things clear with her, so she wouldn't keep pestering me." "I know." Luo Xia reached out and gently patted Mo-Shin's cheek. "Consider that your slap on the wrist. You're not to have any more contact with her, understand? Otherwise, I'll just have to kill her. I specially ordered desserts, and there's black tea and hot cocoa. Come and eat." The violent killing intent in her heart was completely hidden from her face. She desperately wanted to kill Su Yanran. If Su Yanran weren't still useful, Luo Xia wouldn't mind doing it herself. "Wow." The two little ones saw the desserts and tugged their father, saying, "Daddy cake." "I know, Daddy will cut it for you." Watching the gentle and patient Mo-Shin, the killing intent in Luo Xia's heart grew even stronger. It wasn't just her. Luo Miyuki felt the same. That was their Mo-Shin. They wouldn't allow anyone else to covet him, especially not Su Yanran. Su Yanran returned to the guest house. The three of them were renting, looking utterly dejected. Mo Tingting was nowhere to be seen. Only Mo Yingying was sitting on the sofa. Unlike Mo Qingqing's power dressing style, Mo Yingying wore her hair in a ponytail, had on gold-rimmed glasses, and was cradling a book of classical poetry appreciation. Although she resembled her sister and was also beautiful, Mo Yingying exuded an air of quiet, understated elegance. "Yanran, are you all right?" Mo Yingying asked, somewhat surprised to see Su Yanran's forlorn expression and the tear tracks on her face. "Did you argue with Jinpeng?" Su Yanran looked at Mo Yingying with a vacant gaze, her voice hoarse. "Yingying, I ran into Mo-Shin." At the mention of Mo-Shin, Mo Yingying's expression darkened, and her tone became tinged with disdain. "He actually has the money to come here? Did you see who he was with? Is he really being kept by some middle-aged rich woman?" "Yingying, why are you so hostile towards him?" Su Yanran didn't answer, instead posing a question she had long wanted to ask. "What exactly did Mo-Shin do to offend you?" "He didn't offend me." Mo Yingying closed the book in her hands. "They're both my younger brothers, but look at Jinpeng, and then look at him. He's so cold and indifferent. That last blow-up with the family was so ugly, and he even knocked out Jinpeng's front tooth." Su Yanran's brow furrowed slightly. But wasn't it because Mo Jinpeng framed him that he lashed out? Mo Jinpeng and Cheng Jiahao had schemed together. They had Cheng Jiahao use his own birthday as a pretext to invite Mo-Shin to his party. Midway through, they drugged Mo-Shin's drink, intending to set him up in a compromising situation with an escort. However, after Mo-Shin finished his drink and went to the restroom, he vanished. They were at a private club at the time and couldn't find him anywhere. The next day, Mo Jinpeng, along with the escort and Cheng Jiahao, stormed into the Mo family home, causing a huge scene. He adamantly insisted that Mo-Shin, under the influence of alcohol, had behaved promiscuously and assaulted the escort. With Cheng Jiahao as a supposed witness and Mo Jinpeng fanning the flames, Mo Changshan, without any concrete evidence, declared Mo-Shin dissolute. How ridiculous! He turned a blind eye to his eldest son's mountain of scandals, even actively helping to cover them up. Yet he would fly into a rage and curse his younger son over baseless rumors. But no one had expected Mo-Shin to stand his ground so firmly. He even called the police. Eventually, it was discovered that Mo-Shin had been picked up by a ride-hailing car. Mo-Shin demanded to sue Mo Jinpeng and Cheng Jiahao for deliberate slander. This incident led to Mo-Shin's complete break with the Mo family. We're family. Yet he insisted on tearing everything apart and even resorted to violence. Thinking of this, Mo Ying couldn't help but grit her teeth. I watched Jinpeng grow up. It's all Mo Xian's fault for being friends with that Chang Jiahao, getting Jinpeng dragged into it. Su Yanran stared blankly at Mo Ying. She hadn't expected that after all this time, Mo Ying still believed Mo Jinpeng was blameless in the matter. Yanran, don't contact him anymore. Mo Ying sighed. Mo Xian's temperament. He was spoiled rotten by grandma. Ever since he came home, there's always been trouble in the family. He relied on the fact that he learned martial arts since he was young and was physically strong, and he bullied Jinpeng plenty. Look at him. Does he act like a younger brother should? Ying, how exactly did he bully Mo Jinpeng back then? Su Yanran's voice carried a hint of coldness. I've known him for so long, after all. Mo Xian isn't the type to bully the weak just because he's strong. Jinpeng said so. When we weren't around, relying on being taller and stronger than Jinpeng, he threatened him a lot and even stole Jinpeng's money. Mo Ying declared with righteous conviction. Su Yanran heard this and couldn't help but scoff. Did you see it? Does it need to be seen? The words died on Mo Ying's lips. It was true. She had never personally seen Mo Xian bully Mo Jinpeng. Or rather, it seemed like no one had. It was all based on what Mo Jinpeng had said. I have nothing more to say. Su Yanran stood up and picked up her handbag. Ying, I have something at the company. I'm heading back. Before Mo Ying could stop her, Su Yanran had slammed the door on her way out. Mo Ying stared blankly at the door. She didn't understand how just a few mentions of Mo Xian could make Su Yanran leave in such a huff. Didn't she also believe back then that Mo Xian had behaved improperly while drunk, changed the engagement, and officially announced her relationship with Mo Jinpeng? Getting in her car, Su Yanran didn't start it immediately, but sat there in a daze. Mo Ying was so convinced that Mo Xian had a terrible personality and was inferior to Mo Jinpeng. That judgmental expression of hers. How was any different from her own past self? Thinking about how Mo Xian had frantically tried to distance himself and explain when Luo Xia and Luo Muki appeared today, Su Yanran felt as if her heart was being pricked by needles. In the past, everyone in the Mo family, except for Grandma, had pretty much this attitude towards Mo Xian. He had clearly been admitted to Capital University with a full scholarship, yet the Mo family hadn't thrown him a proper celebration party. She suddenly remembered when she had given the sneakers to Mo Jinpeng back then. How was she any different from the Mo Ying just now? It was somewhat understandable that the Mo family members were estranged from Mo Xian. But she had known Mo Xian since childhood. How could he possibly do such a thing? Su Yanran slumped over the steering wheel and couldn't stop herself from sobbing bitterly. The more Mo Ying thought about it, the more something fell off. She and her sisters all knew about Mo Xian and Su Yanran's past. Although Mo Qingqing hadn't directly participated, she had, to some extent, fanned the flames. As for Mo Ying and Mo Tingting, they had done everything they could to help Mo Jinpeng. Mo Jinpeng was the brother in their hearts. Mo Xian, who hadn't grown up at home and was estranged from them, was naturally dispensable. She took out her phone and called Mo Tingting, but couldn't get through. Mo Tingting had come here to discuss collaborations with a few celebrities from the entertainment industry. This third sister of mine, so unreliable. Mo Ying hung up, somewhat irritated. Mo Xian actually came here? So he really's being kept by some rich old woman. Mo Tingting hated Mo Xian for another reason. Before Mo Xian, her academic performance was the best in the Mo family. Although she didn't get into Capital University, she went to a prestigious university and even double majored in college. A top student in the finance department, she also pursued studies in literature, carving out a reputation for herself as a woman of intellect and talent in high society circles. Even if her capabilities weren't equal to her eldest sisters, she had always been very conceited, believing that in terms of raw talent, she was far superior even to her. That was until Mo Xian, this prodigy of a younger brother, appeared, directly recommended to Capital University. She was the one in the Mo family who paid the most attention to Mo Xian's studies. Even when the rest of the Mo family didn't know Mo Xian was pursuing his doctorate at 23, she had already found out. Mo Ying wasn't jealous because Mo Xian was more outstanding than her. In fact, she greatly admired Mo Xian's talent. What made her detest Mo Xian was an incident where Mo Jinpeng was stirring up trouble. She had mindlessly defended Mo Jinpeng and accused Mo Xian. Mo Xian had then mocked her with extreme viciousness. Mo Ying, are your eyes bad and your brain too? Stop clutching that book of classical poetry, pitying yourself, and thinking you're some tragic heroine like Lin Yu. At best, you're just one of the snobbish old crones from the Prospect Garden. For Mo Ying, who had always prided herself on her outstanding talent and intellect, these words were worse than a slap in the face. But she had forgotten how many times she had insulted Mo Xian. Apart from being good at studying, you're utterly worthless in every other way. And don't think I'm being harsh. You need to recognize your place. Blood ties don't mean we have to accept you. Since Mo Xian returned, she had never shown him a shred of goodwill. Instead, she had repeatedly met him with sarcasm and ridicule. Yet, Mo Xian had only retorted sharply once, and she had held a grudge ever since. Su Yanran is just wavering. Mo Ying didn't admit it verbally, but in her heart, she knew just how handsome her youngest brother was. Mo Jinping was not only shorter than him, but also not as good-looking. No, I have to find him and teach him a lesson. Mo Ying picked up her phone. I can't let him ruin Jinping and Yinran's marriage. This Mo Xian, coming here at this time to snatch a woman from his own brother. Does he even have any? Thinking this, Mo Ying was momentarily stunned. Then she still pushed open the door and went out. In that instant, she finally remembered that Su Yanran was someone their entire family had snatched away from Mo Xian. The world is vast, so vast that some people might go their whole lives without ever meeting. Yet, the world is also small, so small that sometimes the moment you step out, you might run into the very person you least want to see. Mo Xian was feeling exactly that right now. He'd heard this hotel had specialty hot spring buns, but you had to buy them at the convenience store up ahead. Mo Xian thought of getting some for Luo Xia, Luo Muki, and their daughters, and also to take someone he visited Grandma tomorrow. Unexpectedly, he ran straight into Mo Ying, who was rushing out. Mo Xian, it really is you? Mo Ying's eyes were full of disdain when she saw him. Did you just run into Yanran? Mo Xian couldn't be bothered to waste words on her, not even wanting to spare her an extra glance, and started walking straight ahead. Stop right there. Mo Ying grabbed Mo Xian's arm. Did I say you could leave? What is it? Mo Xian shook her off. As I recall, I have no ties with your family anymore, do I? Mo Xian, don't take things too far. Mo Ying, remembering that it was her family who had wronged Mo Xian, softened her tone, making it less imperious. Yanran and Jinping are getting engaged soon. You've debased yourself by letting some old woman keep you. So why are you deliberately trying to provoke Yanran? Me provoquer? Mo Xian let out a dry laugh. Am I the one provoking her? Or is she clinging to me like a stubborn leech? After the ugly scene you caused back then, Yanran gave up on you long ago. Mo Ying said with a confident expression. Yanran wasn't herself after seeing you. She's already left. I wanted to bring her out for a nice hot spring soak, and you had to ruin it. Crazy bitch. Mo Xian cursed under his breath and started to walk away. Sometimes he really wanted to get a paternity test. How could he possibly be blood-related to these people? Mo Ying didn't seem to mind him cursing her. Instead, she followed him, adopting a tone of earnest persuasion. Mo Xian, I know you're feeling resentful, but you can't force feelings. If you're not capable enough to hold on to a woman, don't blame Yanran for choosing someone better. Hearing this, Mo Xian stopped and turned, giving Mo Ying an icy glare. Seeing Mo Xian's glacial eyes, Mo Ying's heart tightened. She instantly recalled that this man before her had once taken down 8 of their family's bodyguards. Yet Mo Ying maintained a stubborn front, even saying provocatively, What? Are you going to hit me? Am I not speaking the truth? The someone better you're talking about is that Mo Jinping, the one who hangs out in nightclubs every day, has his parents clean up his messes when he gets into trouble, and even hired a call girl to frame his own brother? Mo Xian said with a sarcastic smile. The whole family helps the older brother steal his younger brother's girlfriend. What? Is it the end of the world? Is Su Yanran the only woman left on Earth? Aside from your idiotic favoritism, Mo Jinping is a complete waste of space. Mo Ying, the only reason I'm not dealing with you all right now is because Grandma is still alive. I haven't forgotten what you did back then. Grandma doesn't have much time left. You'd better pray she lives a few more days. If Grandma passes away, your entire Mo family can just wait for retribution. Mo Ying's heart clenched. Seeing the resentment in Mo Xian's eyes, she instinctively looked away. Back then, when Mo Xian had contacted the entire Mo family, not a single one of them, including her, had believed he was doing it for Grandma. They all thought he was trying to scam them for money. You don't need to threaten me with that. Mo Ying said, her voice lacking conviction. It's because you always bullied Jinping. Mo Jinping said I bullied him. And you believe it? If he told you die, would you go right ahead and do it? Mo Xian retorted sarcastically. Besides, even if I did bully him, what does that have to do with you all refusing to pay Grandma's medical bills? Mo Ying, did a dog eat your brain and your conscience along with it? After me, weren't you the one Grandma tutored the most? When you were in high school, Grandma, already in her later years, would travel to your apartment near the school on weekends to tutor you. When she got sick, you didn't contribute a single cent. And what was it you said? Oh, right. You said it was because of her that I had a falling out with the family. That such a grandmother was simply unreasonable. When Grandma moved into the nursing home, did you visit her even once? Thinking of this, Mo Xian wished he could just slap her across the face. When he was in 6th grade and Mo Ying was a high school senior, she complained that Grandma's place was too far. This granddaughter made her grandmother, whose legs weren't very good, travel to her to tutor her. When Grandma was hospitalized and urgently needed money for medical expenses, Mo Xian had contacted her first, only to be met with her merciless ridicule. Mo Ying's face turned red, then pale, as Mo Xian spoke. Her lips trembled, but she couldn't utter a single word. Mo Xian ignored her and walked away. Mo Ying didn't try to stop him again. No matter how dissatisfied she felt, she could only bite her lip and turn to find Mo Tingting. Mo Xian bought the hot spring buns. After a moment's thought, he also bought some snacks and drinks. Carrying a large plastic bag, Mo Xian sipped on the convenience store's homemade plum juice, getting ready to head back. A man and a woman were walking towards him, the woman in front, the man chasing after her. Inua, listen to me. The man looked panicked, his clothes slightly disheveled. I just had a moment of weakness. Don't be angry. The woman named Inua had long hair and stood about 5 feet 9 inches, appearing even taller in her nearly 3-inch heels. She had a model-like figure, a stunningly beautiful face, and elegant almond-shaped eyes. I have nothing to say to you. She glanced coolly at the man behind her. Ming, this was a business alliance, one your family went to great lengths to arrange. It's not like I, Chung Inua, can't find anyone else, and this alliance doesn't have to be with you. I'll inform my family. The engagement is off. Mo Xian quietly stepped aside, sipping his plum juice from the bag, and then watched the drama unfold. He wasn't the only one. Although it wasn't peak season, the area still had quite a few people. Passers-by in 2s and 3s kept a certain distance, stopping to watch the drama. Inua, I really didn't mean it. Ming noticed the onlookers and hurriedly straightened his suit. Let's talk somewhere else. With so many people around, this really isn't the place. What's not suitable? When you were being shameless, you didn't think it was unsuitable then, did you? Chung Inua sneered. I have nothing more to say to you. Even if there were no feelings between us, I believe I never wronged you. Yet, when you come out with me, you still secretly get a room to fool around with that starlet. Have you no shame? Chung Inua's voice was loud, and it was clear she was furious. Mo Xian felt the name sounded familiar, but he couldn't quite recall where he'd heard of Chung Inua. Ming's expression turned ugly. After all, with so many people watching, a young master from a wealthy family being caught cheating by his fiancée, and having it all aired out like this, someone nearby had already started recording a video. Inua, you're embarrassing both our families by doing this. Ming lowered his voice. Even if you're upset, don't make such a public scene. When you couldn't control yourself, did you ever think this day would come? Chung Inua pushed him away. The great young master of the Shui family of Kyoto. If you don't care about losing face, why should I? At this, the surrounding onlookers enjoying the drama grew agitated. Mo Xian remembered who Ming was. The Shui family owned a chain of supermarkets with branches all over the country. Ming was the second son of the Shui family and had recently announced his engagement to a Miss Chung. The Chung family held a high position in Kyoto, arguably one of the most influential families after the Luo family. My God, this Miss Chung is ruthless. She's not giving the Shui family's second young master any face at all. Arranged marriages among the wealthy often lack real affection. It's not unheard of for them to have their own affairs, but getting caught red-handed by your fiancé is just ugly. The key is, he brought his fiancée along and was still sneaking around with a mistress. Miss Chung must be the most humiliated one, right? Ming naturally heard the surrounding chatter. He grabbed Chung Inua's right hand and said forcefully, I told you, this isn't the place to talk. Can't you consider my dignity? Come with me now, stop this shameful display. Chung Inua violently shook off his hand, and the Chanel bag she was holding in her left hand slammed into his face. This time, Ming completely lost his temper. He retaliated with a slap across Chung Inua's face. You bitch! Did the Chung family's upbringing all go to the dogs? Ming raised his hand, intending to strike again, but his wrist was firmly caught. Young Master Shui, are you sure you want to continue? Xian said coldly, gripping his wrist. You are both prominent figures. Behaving so disgracefully, aren't you afraid of embarrassing your families as well? Chung Inua, having been slapped, was about to explode in anger, but when she saw Xian, she froze. The tall young man before her, carrying a plastic bag, had an exceptionally handsome face. He wore black-rimmed glasses, looking refined and scholarly, yet exuding a sense of power. His eyes were like the clear depths of a lake, deep and serene. Chung Inua felt as if her heart had been struck. Her pulse inexplicably quickened, and her stinging cheek began to burn for an entirely different reason. Oh my God, what's happening to me? Is this what it feels like to have your heart flutter? Unlucky soul, no. Tu has entered the chat. Ming glanced around, yanked his hand free, shot Chung Inua a fierce glare, then turned and walked away. Chung Inua, however, was focused entirely on Xian, completely oblivious to Ming's departure. Seeing Ming leave, the crowd felt there was no more drama to watch and gradually dispersed. As for Xian, he had merely acted because he couldn't stand by and watch. He nodded at Chung Inua, picked up his bag, and also turned to leave. Chung Inua, as if waking from a dream, hurried after him. Thank you, she said anxiously. Huh? Oh, it's nothing, really, Xian replied, waving his hand. Miss Chung, I have some things to attend to, so I'll be going now. Wait, what's your name? Chung Inua quickly asked. Thank you so much for today. I'd like to treat you to a meal sometime, if that's okay. Well, I appreciate the offer, but it's not really convenient for me. If Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki found out about this, there'd be trouble. Then, can we add each other on WeChat? Chung Inua persisted, unwilling to give up. If you ever need anything in the future, I can help. Xian sensed that she probably wouldn't let him go unless he gave her his contact information. He had no choice but to take out his phone and exchange contacts with her. You're Xian? The Xian from Kyoto University. Hearing Chung Inua's words, Xian was a little surprised. He hadn't thought he was that famous. Chung Inua, too, was astonished. The man her family, the Changs, had failed to recruit had just coincidentally appeared here and stopped Ming. Having participated in programming the Rongxing robotic arm, Xian was naturally on the radar of headhunters from various companies, including the Chung family. A 23-year-old PhD student involved with an R&D team in the Rongxing project, Chung Inua naturally wouldn't let such a promising talent slip through her fingers. However, Kyoto University had rejected all offers, including those from the Chung family. Rongxing had also made it known that Xian was essentially already claimed by them. Since many of the Chung family's projects relied on collaboration with Rongxing, they had naturally stopped pursuing Xian. Others might not know, but the Chung family was aware that Luo Tian was behind Rongxing. If Rongxing wanted someone, there was no need for them to compete. Miss Chung, if there's nothing else, I'll be on my way, Xian said with a slight nod, then departed. Chung Inua's heart, however, was far from calm. She stared blankly at Xian's retreating figure. I should try to get in touch with him again if I get the chance. Chung Inua rubbed her cheek where Ming had hit her. A thought seemed to strike her, and she quickly took out her phone and made a call. Hey, send me Xian's detailed information immediately. Yes, the Xian that Rongxing is interested in. Find a way to get his complete file. Back at their private courtyard, Luo Xia was looking down at her phone, replying to messages one by one. Luo Miyuki was more relaxed, sitting on the carpet and playing with the two children. Daddy! The two little ones saw Xian and immediately abandoned Luo Miyuki, running over to hug his legs. You two little traitors, Luo Miyuki said, half exasperated, half amused. What about all the pestering you did with me just now? Mama, Auntie. Luo Weier and Luo Shuer quickly returned to Luo Miyuki, tugging at her hands. Luo Miyuki gently pinched each of their cute little cheeks, then stood up to help Xian with the plastic bags he was carrying. While Xian wasn't looking, she lightly kissed his cheek. Luo Miyuki put a finger to her lips, gesturing silence. Luo Xia, busy with company matters, hadn't seen. Xian's face instantly turned red. Compared to other things they had done, this was minor, yet the small gesture still made his heart flutter. You're back. Luo Xia seemed to have finished her work. She looked up and smiled gently at Imo-Shien. You bought so much food? Yes. And I have you two to thank, Imo-Shien replied with a warm smile. If it weren't for your and Miyuki's help, I wouldn't have this much money on hand. Luo-Shia smiled faintly. Imo-Shien's talent was exceptional. Luo Corp was already promoting his program, and they conservatively estimated revenues in the hundreds of millions by year-end. Yet, in her heart, Luo-Shia somewhat regretted letting Luo Tian inform Rongxing about recruiting Imo-Shien. She didn't need Imo-Shien to go out and earn money. His talent, she felt, was something only they should see. They had originally planned to soak in the hot springs in the afternoon, but Luo-Shia and Luo Miyuki suggested waiting until evening. Imo-Shien didn't mind and took the two children to play by the hot spring pool in the backyard. The children were well-behaved, taking off their shoes and socks and dipping their cute little feet into the warm spring water. Luo-Shia and Luo Miyuki sat on wicker chairs nearby, watching the father and his two daughters. Sunlight streamed into the courtyard. A gentle breeze caressed their faces, and warm steam wafted over them from time to time. Though it was already a somewhat chilly October, the family of five felt no cold. The courtyard itself seemed to grow warmer. When it was dinner time, Luo-Shia made a call, and the hotel delivered a sumptuous meal. Imo-Shien looked at it and felt tears welling up. Finally, no oysters, bull pizzle soup, or stir-fried kidneys. What kind of decent person eats that stuff every day? After dinner, it was already 7 o'clock. Imo-Shien glanced at the time and turned to ask Luo-Shia and Luo Miyuki, "Why don't you two take the girls to soak first?" "It's all right. Let's wait a bit longer." Besides, Luo-Shia gave Imo-Shien a deep look. Young children shouldn't soak in hot springs. Imo-Shien, then why do we bring the children here? Meanwhile, at the Imo sisters' guest house, Imo-Inging stared at Imo-Tingting, her face ashen. Imo-Tingting was the most beautiful of the three sisters, but now her hair was disheveled, and there were several scratches on her face. "I could kill you," Imo-Inging said furiously. "Are you insane? With Xueming. And you got caught by Chung Yinhua, his actual fiancé." "Second sister, I was tricked too," Imo-Tingting sobbed, her face a picture of grievance. Xueming said if I just accompanied him, he'd get me resources. You know, I've been an actress for so long, but I've never really made it big. I told you to focus on your studies back then, but you insisted on entering the entertainment industry. It's not like the family didn't invest money in you. Whose fault is it that you couldn't make it on your own?" Imo-Inging irritably took off her glasses. "The Xue family won't care about you. If the Chung family really decides to pursue this, our family will be dragged into it too. You're unbelievable." Imo-Inging was about to die from anger at her sister. In a city like Kyoto, teeming with wealthy families, the Imo family was nothing. They couldn't afford to offend either the Xue family or the Chung family. What infuriated her most was that she and this idiot were born from the same womb. Thinking about it, Imo-Inging felt as if all the brains had gone to her, leaving none for Imo-Tingting. Their nice trip here to soak in the hot springs was ruined. Su Yanren had left, Imo-Inging herself had been rebuffed by Imo-Shien, and now Imo-Tingting had caused such massive trouble. Just as she was fuming, Imo-Inging's phone suddenly rang. It was Qin and I. Imo-Inging hesitated for a moment, but still answered the call. "Mom, what's wrong? Where are you? Come home immediately." Qin and I said anxiously. "Jinping, something terrible has happened to Jinping." Uncle Zheng was getting on in years and didn't quite grasp the internet. He was solely focused on carrying out the young Mrs. orders and truly hadn't anticipated how quickly public opinion online could explode. Imo Jinping was a known frequenter of nightclubs and bars. It was inevitable he'd get into some kind of trouble. The Luo family had been keeping tabs on him and had plenty of dirt on Imo Jinping. This time, he was exposed for having a hotel tryst with a married, third-tier actress. This actress was already 30, had a child, and while not a household name, she was recognizable. Then, news of the Imo family's marriage alliance with the Su family broke simultaneously. The Luo family, ruthless as ever, even leaked numerous photos of Imo Jinping getting intimate with various women in nightclubs. Infidelity, an affair, and a connection to the entertainment industry. It was like he'd maxed out all the scandal buffs. When Imo-Inging and Imo-Tingting rushed home, Imo Jinping was kneeling on the floor, looking utterly dejected. Imo-Chingching sat on the sofa, her expression cold, saying nothing. Imo-Changshan's eyes were bloodshot, his shirt unbuttoned by 2 or 3 buttons, a wrought tan cane in his hand. She and I just sat to one side, crying. Old Master Imo was nowhere to be seen. "I should have sent you away back then. Mo Changshan roared. You idiot. Can't even control your own urges. How many times have I had to clean up your messes? I thought you'd settle down for a bit, but no, you just had to pick this moment to screw up. Mo Jinping kept his head down, not daring to speak. His face clearly showed he'd just been hit. Though his body was covered by clothes, his expensive designer outfit was somewhat torn, evidence that the rattan cane had already met his skin. Dad, the priority right now is to figure out some emergency PR, Mo Chingching said, glancing coldly at Mo Jinping. Jinping is still young and foolish. Can't we just let it go this time? Foolish? He's 26. Mo Changshan threw the rattan cane to the ground. He's not in the entertainment industry. If we can just suppress this, it won't cause us any direct loss. But the Su family is already displeased. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. What? I can't break off the engagement? Su Yanran, who was on the phone in her room, shot up from her seat. On the other end, Sister Hui replied with a hint of a smile. It's just that you can't break it off. The engagement ceremony can be postponed. Besides, as long as you don't register the marriage, this so-called engagement is merely a verbal agreement with no legal standing. It doesn't count. What does your vice president mean by this? Su Yanran asked, struggling to suppress her anger. If I break off the engagement now, it clearly shows my stance, doesn't it? As for dealing with the Mo family, I've already started making preparations. Now, she's telling me not to break it off? Isn't she going back on her word? Miss Su, you can choose not to cooperate with us, Sister Hui replied nonchalantly. As long as you state that you won't break off the engagement, Vice President Luo will inform you of the next steps. Fine, then I won't cooperate with you, Su Yanran said through gritted teeth. I'm not Luo Xia or Luo Myuki. I can win Mo Xian back on my own. Miss Su, you must understand, mister. Mo has the Luo family backing him now. Do you think he needs you to get revenge on the Mo family for what they did in the past? Sister Huey's tone remained calm. Besides, mister, Mo raised the two children by himself. When he was abandoned by your family and his grandmother was on her deathbed, it was the young miss and the second miss who were by his side. The young miss giving you this chance is already an act of her mercy. Su Yanran fell silent. It wasn't that she didn't know Luo Xia had ulterior motives, nor did she believe Luo Xia would genuinely give her a chance. But her obsession with Mo Xian was one thing. On the other hand, if she didn't agree, would the Luo family move against the Su family? They said the marriage contract was a verbal agreement. Wasn't her deal with Luo Xia also just a verbal agreement? She didn't have the courage to stand up to a behemoth like the Luo family. Moreover, since she wanted to win Mo Xian back, agreeing to Luo Xia's plan seemed like a decent option. All right, I agree, Su Yanran conceded, somewhat helplessly. I don't understand. What's the point of this? That I wouldn't know, Miss Su. Good night. Sister Hui hung up without hesitation and immediately sent a message to Luo Xia. Young miss, she agreed. Luo Xia saw Sister Huey's message, a smile playing on her lips, then put down her phone. A news alert popped up on her phone. Shui family's second son, heir to supermarket chain, caught cheating on fiancé with actress. Mo Xian was completely oblivious to the events unfolding outside. At this moment, he was blissfully soaking in a hot spring, a towel covering his face. Behind him, a dim lamp cast a soft glow. The wind rustled through the tree branches, creating a whispering sound. The warm spring water gradually relaxed his entire body, making him feel drowsy. The lamp behind him suddenly went out, but he didn't notice, only sensing ripples disturbing the water beside him. Then, a smooth body slowly approached him. Mo Xian jumped, startled, and quickly pulled the towel off his face. In the faint light filtering through the window, Luo Xia, wrapped only in a towel, her hair pinned up, said nothing, only offering a predatory kiss. Myuki was too tired. She's fallen asleep. Luo Xia's voice, thick with suppressed desire, whispered in Mo Xian's ear. Truth be told, she had put a sleeping aid in the water she gave Luo Myuki. The two girls hadn't napped all afternoon, and after dinner, they played for a while. Children are naturally prone to sleepiness, and they had fallen asleep with Luo Myuki in the first-floor bedroom. Luo Xia pressed her entire body slowly against Mo Xian. Her voice was like an angel's caress, yet also like a demon's whisper. Little Xian, tonight, you belong only to me. Xia this. We're outside. The next day, Luo Weier and Luo Shuer woke up and went looking for their dad. The two little tykes were startled. What happened to their dad? Why were both his arms covered in bite marks? It was a familiar sight, just like Kamajutoma after being bitten by Index. What surprised the two little ones most was they had come looking for their dad. So why were their mom and Annie in his room? Are you two-part dog or something? P2.She grumbled, having finally coaxed the children out. I almost suspect you two want to eat me alive. If they could, they really would. Some things were strange. To secure P2.She, bit by bit, they had suppressed their feelings and feigned indifference for 3 years. But now that their relationship with P2.She had rapidly progressed, their possessiveness had only intensified. Biting, leaving marks, it was as if these acts could prove he belonged to them. Just leaving my mark on you. P2.She suddenly hugged P2.She from behind, her grip surprisingly strong. Even P2.She, a well-built man nearly 190 centimeters, 6 feet 3 inches tall, felt a bit suffocated. Xiao, you won't leave us, right? Of course not, P2.She was about to continue when he saw P2.She smiling at him. It was her familiar smile, yet P2.She felt an inexplicable chill. Xiao, you won't leave us, will you? P2.She's arms tightened, her voice lacking its usual gentleness, carrying a hint of menace. No, of course not. What's wrong? P2.She, curious, gently pushed her arms away and turned, only to see her usual gentle, big sisterly smile. Shia, are you all right? I'm fine, silly. What you said made me very happy. P2.She reached out and ruffled P2.She's hair. For a moment, P2.She felt dazed. Was what he just experienced an illusion? Brother, let's go out together. P2.She intimately took P2.She's hand. I'm starving. P2.She didn't dwell on it, letting P2.She pull him out. P2.She said faintly, You two go ahead. I need to handle some company matters, and I'll order breakfast for you. Only after P2.She and P2.She left the room did the smile on P2.She's face turn somewhat morbid. She turned, took a blue folder from her bag. On the cover, 6 neat characters were handwritten. Phase 3 report. P2.She actually caused such a huge stir. P2.She mused while picking up Xylong Bao, soup dumplings for P2.She and P2.She, and scrolling through the news on his phone. He hadn't paid attention last night. The trending topics were dominated by 2 things. One was P2.She's affair with a married actress, and the other was what he had witnessed yesterday, Chung Yurua catching Xuan Ming cheating. He hadn't become famous from it, though. Although he'd meddled by stopping Xuan Ming, the public seemed more interested in the scandalous drama between the 2 wealthy scients. Brother, don't worry about them. P2.She reached out and locked P2.She's phone. Just focus on studying and being with us. I'd love to focus on studying, if you two would let me. P2.She felt that the sisters had been particularly clingy these past 2 days. His coursework and thesis were only half done, and although things were fine with the R&D team, he hadn't reported in for a long time. Moreover, these past 2 days had been excessively indulgent. During those moments, P2.She and P2.She seemed to transform into different people. It was less about venting carnal desires and more like releasing some kind of obsession. Daddy, what's wrong? P2.She's soft, sweet voice quickly pulled P2.She back from his daze. He didn't answer, just smiled at his daughter and blew on her bowl of 8 treasure porridge to cool it. P2.She noticed P2.She's lapse in attention. She thought for a moment, then suddenly looked at P2.She and said, Wei, drink slowly, don't burn yourself. Wei. When P2.She heard this name, his expression turned vacant. He felt the name was very familiar, and it inexplicably brought on a suffocating sensation. Brother, are you okay? Seeing P2.She's face turn pale, P2.She quickly got up and went to his side. What's wrong? Did you remember something? P2.She looked at her blankly and shook his head, not noticing there was something off about P2.She's question. Fragmented images seemed to flash through his mind, all apparently related to someone named Wei, but he couldn't recall the specific scenes. Meanwhile, P2.She, who had emerged at some point, stood silently behind P2.She, watching him with a complex expression, the folder still in her hand. Then, P2.She opened the folder and, using a pen clipped inside, wrote, Memory nerves not yet fully recovered, but efficacy has significantly improved. Psychological suggestion must continue. Memory recovery is not essential, but it must be ensured he will not leave. After writing, P2.She closed the folder, put it in her bag, then walked over to P2.She, patted his head, and said, Why don't you stay another day? The environment here is nice. You're usually either at home with the kids or busy with studies, and sometimes you even run errands for us. Huh. Oh, okay. Hearing P2.She's words, the extremely vague memories in P2.She's mind seemed to vanish instantly. Daddy, don't feel bad. Luo Weier and Luo Schwer, seeing Mo Xian wasn't himself, thought their dad was sick and stood on their chairs to touch his face. Mo Xian quickly hugged the two little ones, smiling. It's okay. Daddy just didn't sleep well. Daddy will go get some more sleep later. He hadn't been dreaming these past 2 days. Was it because they've been too rough? Mo Xian merely thought it was due to their recent intense activities and didn't suspect anything else. Unlike Mo Xian, Mo Jinping was not having a good time. There was no news from the Su family. Su Yanran had only sent him a message saying their engagement banquet was postponed, then blocked all his contact methods. Mo Changshan, furious, had confined him to the house, forbidding him to go out. His bedroom was thick with smoke as he chain-smoked, wondering who was plotting against him. Just then, a call came from a hidden number. Mo Jinping's brows furrowed. Annoyed, he answered, snapping, "Who is it?" "Young Master Mo. Forgotten me so soon?" Uncle Zheng's mocking voice came through the phone. "The parking lot last time. I suppose young Master Mo doesn't remember that either." Mo Jinping, flustered, stubbed out his cigarette in the ashtray and lowered his voice. "I've already spoken to my father. What more do you want? I believe I said Chairman Mo himself should go to the nursing home and personally discuss the shares with old Madame Mo, didn't I?" Uncle Zhang's tone suddenly turned cold. "Young Master Mo, if you don't want to hit the trending topics again, you'll do as we say." "Don't fucking push it," Mo Jinping snarled. "Don't think I can't guess. You work for that rich woman who's keeping Mo Xian, don't you? Why else would you be so invested in this damn mess?" "Oh, so you're not that stupid after all?" Uncle Zheng said with feigned surprise. "Rest assured, as long as you can persuade your father, we have the means to embarrass you, and also the means to suppress this matter. Young Master Mo, you wouldn't want people to find out about the illegal things you and your birth mother have done, would you?" After staying another day at the Hot Spring Hotel, Mo Xian first drove Luo Xia and Luo Muki to their company, then took the kids home before turning back and heading to the university. His thesis was finally wrapping up, so Mo Xian went to see his advisor, Professor Yang. Professor Yang was an old gentleman in his 60s, one of the country's first pioneers in computer engineering. Seeing Mo Xian arrive, Professor Yang warmly pulled him over to sit down, poured him a cup of tea, and said, "Ah, little Mo, good news. Rongxing has already scheduled an interview for you." Mo Xian let out a long sigh of relief. After waiting for so long, his job situation was finally settled. "Thank you, Professor. You've guided me so carefully all this time." Mo Xian said respectfully. "Are you still planning to retire?" "At my age, it's about time I retired and enjoyed some peace and quiet," Professor Yang said, waving his hand dismissively. "Your grandmother's health?" "Still the same," Mo Xian said with a wry smile. "She called me these past couple of days, still saying she can't get enough sleep." Professor Yang patted Mo Xian's shoulder and said with a sigh of regret, "Try not to dwell on it. Your grandmother worried her whole life, about her family, about her work. She had a clear conscience on all fronts. Speaking of which, the Chung family has also invited you. Their eldest daughter, Chung Yinhua, contacted me personally. She wants to meet with you to discuss things in detail." Mentioning Chung Yinhua, Professor Yang couldn't help but sigh. "She's a good girl. That fellow from Xue family is truly blind." "Oh, right, little Mo, about your brother." "That has nothing to do with me anymore," Mo Xian said, shaking his head. "Have you forgotten? I've severed ties with the Mo family." Professor Yang's throat moved, but the words of conciliation he wanted to say remained unspoken. He was well aware of the principle. Don't preach virtue to others unless you've walked in their shoes. Mo Xian was an adult now. He naturally knew whether his choices were right or wrong. After chatting with his advisor for a while longer, Mo Xian left the office. He checked the time. It was already past noon. Just as he was planning to grab lunch and then visit his grandmother at the nursing home, a very pleasant perfume scent wafted towards him. "Excuse me, are you Mo Xian?" A stunning woman wearing a white shawl over a black qipao embroidered with red peonies approached gracefully. Her phoenix eyes scanned Mo Xian up and down, and she let out a soft chuckle. "I am Mr. Cheng's secretary, Li Manqing. Our young master would like to meet you." Mo Xian looked at her, puzzled, then asked, "Which Mr. Chung?" "The Chung family of Jingdu." "Oh, right. Our young miss has met you." Chung Yin. Realizing this, he knew which Chung family she meant. It was just that he wasn't very keen on meeting this young master of the Chung family, Chung Yinua's older brother, Chung Wenxin. Chung Wenxin had previously tried to arrange a marriage alliance with the Luo family, but, like Yin Ning before him, had been turned away at the door. It was best to avoid such a person if he suddenly came looking for him. Our young master said he absolutely must see you, Li Manqing said, seeming to notice Mo Xian's reluctance. Regarding Miss Inua's matter, the young master wishes to thank you personally. It was nothing, just a small gesture, not worth mentioning, Mo Xian said nonchalantly. There's no need for thanks. I have other things to do. I need to leave. Perhaps you should still go? Li Manqing persisted. Besides, I know our young Mrs. Personality. You wouldn't want her to come and bother you personally, would you? Sighing, Mo Xian reluctantly nodded in agreement. There was no need to make things difficult for her. She was just an employee. He followed Li Manqing out of the university. A Rolls-Royce was parked in front of them, with no one inside except for a driver. The car drove to a tea house not far from Jingdu University. Mo Xian had been here a few times with Professor Yang. Not only did the old-timers from Jingdu University like to come, but many wealthy people also frequented the place to drink tea and discuss business. Li Manqing led Mo Xian to a pavilion in the backyard. Inside the pavilion was a stone table and 4 stone stools. A man in a gray suit with neatly combed hair sat there, holding Buddhist prayer beads in his left hand and a copy of the Diamond Sutra in his right, muttering something under his breath. Behind him stood 2 bodyguards in black suits, both burly and seemingly identical in height. Young master, he's here, Li Manqing said respectfully as she approached him. Clearly, this was Cheng Wenxin. Actually, Mo Xian really wanted to roast him. He had only ever heard the term Fozi or son of Buddha in those online romance novellas popular with female readers. He never thought he'd actually meet one. Cheng Wenxin was just such a Jingdu celebrity, known by the title of the ascetic Fozi. The problem was, if you're a Fozi, what the hell are you doing trying to arrange a marriage alliance? Shouldn't you be detached from all worldly desires? Your senses pure? He glanced at the stone table. Sure enough, it didn't betray his Fozi persona. On the table lay the Lotus Sutra, the Avatamsaka Sutra, and the Tao Te Ching. There was even a copy of the Analects of Confucius. Good heavens, he was a triple practitioner of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. Mo Xian couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Old Lady Wang Ruofu really wasn't kidding. Some people truly do try to appease the gods of all 3 faiths. Cheng Wenxin placed the prayer beads on the stone table and turned to instruct a bodyguard, light the sandalwood incense. Mo Xian couldn't stop himself from rolling his eyes. This guy was so extra. You are Mo Xian? Cheng Wenxin glanced sideways at him, as if just noticing his presence, then turned his gaze back to the sutra in his hand. Leave Jingdu. Mo Xian. Am I the crazy one? Or are you? I stopped someone from slapping your sister, and for that, I have to leave Jingdu. Manqing, show him the photo. At Cheng Wenxin's words, Li Manqing took out her phone, found a photo, and showed it to Mo Xian. It was a picture of Mo Xian, head bowed, kissing Luo Muki in the cafeteria. I'm grateful that you helped my sister. However, I don't like anyone coveting the woman I have my eye on. So, you will leave on your own. Cheng Wenxin still didn't look up. I know your background. I don't care even if the Mo family were to intervene, which they won't. I'll give you 5 million. Leave Luo Muki. Leave Jingdu. If necessary, I can arrange for you to go abroad and never return. Young Master Cheng, is there perhaps a problem with your comprehension? Mo Xian sighed helplessly. Coveting and possessing are 2 different things. Cheng Wenxin finally looked at Mo Xian. Though he seemed unconcerned, his tone still flat. She's just playing around with you. You don't actually think she's serious about you, do you? Thinking of how Luo Muki had dragged him into the courtyard yesterday, avoiding Luo Xia, who was busy with work, and kissed him for a long time, Mo Xian subconsciously nodded. I'm pretty sure yet. She almost devoured me. Besides, the way both sisters look at me has been getting stranger and stranger. It's not a question of whether she's serious or not. He just felt that their feelings for him were a bit extremely abnormal. Cheng Wenxin placed the sutra on the stone table and couldn't help but chuckle. Giving you 5 million is already generous of me. I dislike violence, as Buddhism teaches. Please, young Master Cheng, spare me the sermon, Mo Xian said, really not wanting to hear him preach. You and I are complete strangers. At most, I stopped someone from slapping your sister. I'm not claiming it was some great favor, nor do I expect your gratitude. But you show up, act all condescending, and tell me to leave the capital. Isn't that repaying kindness with enmity? Cheng Wenxin didn't answer. Instead, he picked up his teacup, took a gentle sip, then picked up his prayer beads again before finally speaking. That's why I'm offering you 5 million. Consider my thanks. Otherwise, I'd just make you get out of the capital. Xian was so amused, he almost laughed out loud. So this was the rumored ascetic Fozi? This was clearly an overbearing CEO, wasn't it? And if I don't agree? Xin looked as if he'd heard a joke, a broad smile spreading across his face. I don't mind breaking my precepts. Mr. Mo, you should be well aware that while we can't afford to offend the Luo family, it doesn't mean we can't deal with you. Li Manqing interjected at the opportune moment. Between you and the Chung family, do you think second Miss Luo would choose a boyfriend with no family standing, or the Changs? If our young master truly decides to make a move, it'd be a simple matter of us yielding a few projects. In fact, we might not even need to go that far. A few gifts and an apology would likely suffice. Surely you don't believe second Miss Luo is truly set on marrying you. Mo Xin merely sighed. If he were to give up, it would have to be because Luo Xia and Luo Muki themselves told him they no longer needed him. Not because some stranger he didn't even know was trying to force him away with thinly veiled threats. Even if their relationship was twisted and unhealthy, as long as Luo Xia and Luo Muki still needed him, he wouldn't care if it felt like a living nightmare. Young Master Chung, Mo Xian said, spreading his hands, if this is all you wanted to discuss, then I'll be going. Whatever is between Muki and me is for us to sort out, or for the Luo family to address with me. As for an outsider like yourself, you have no business discussing it with me. Chung Wenxin remained outwardly calm, but the Buddhist prayer beads in his hand moved faster and faster. After a long pause, a threatening edge crept into his voice. Believe it or not, I can ensure you don't walk out of this place today. Young Master Chung, Mo Xian said, a headache forming. If Muki truly had you in her heart, there'd be no place for me. Rumors are truly unreliable. Here was a scion of a wealthy family, trying to maintain this devout Buddhist facade, yet he explodes after just a few sentences. He added, if that's all, I'm leaving. And for your information, we live in a society ruled by law. I'm not afraid of you. Chung Wenxin didn't answer. Instead, he picked up his teacup, took a gentle sip, then picked up his prayer beads again before finally speaking. That's why I'm offering you 5 million. Consider my thanks. Otherwise, I'd just make you get out of the capital. Huh. And Mo Xian, you still don't get it, Chung Wenxin sneered. People like us are different from you. I've laid out the situation clearly. How about this? I'll add another 3 million. And Mo Xian, I heard Rongxing already interviewed you, didn't they? With the Chung family's clout, who do you think Rongxing will favor? Don't push me to annihilate you across the entire capital. If I wish it, my men could beat you senseless, and no hospital would dare treat your injuries. What's more, I have dinner tonight with Luo Tian. Who do you think he'll side with, me or you? Mo Xian's impression of Luo Tian was that of a hapless fool who'd tremble if Luo Xia so much as coughed. He had no idea what leverage Luo Xia held over Luo Tian, but the only son of the Luo family's main branch was constantly under the thumb of his younger cousin from the second branch. Suit yourself. Mo Xian couldn't be bothered to argue further and turned to leave. But Chung Wenxin snapped his fingers, and 2 bodyguards practically sprinted to block Mo Xian's way. You really insist on forcing my hand, Chung Wenxin said, his face a mask of sorrowful compassion. Don't soil this pavilion. The view is so refined. His blood is too dirty. Young Master Chung, Mo Xian interrupted, taking off his black-rimmed glasses. While you're busy with your act, let me ask, how many men did you bring? Might as well call them all out. These 2 are more than enough to handle you, Chung Wenxin said, closing his eyes, prayer beads in hand, his expression frigid. As long as you don't kill him, do as you please. You're sure it's just these 2? Mo Xian tucked his glasses into his jacket pocket, then cracked his neck. Fine. Both of you come at me. I'm in a hurry. A few minutes later, Mo Xian walked out of the tea house's main entrance, completely unscathed. Soon after, an ambulance arrived, and the 2 bodyguards were carried away on stretchers. Chung Wenxin remained on the stone bench, his prayer beads scattered around him, his face ashen. Li Manqing, terrified and pale, hid behind a pillar, only daring to come out after a long moment. This nobody, Mo Xian, had taken down 2 bodyguards with almost no effort. Before leaving, Mo Xian walked over to Chung Wenxin and snatched his prayer beads, ripping them apart. First time I've heard of a devout Buddhist so preoccupied with stealing another man's woman. Why don't you stop chanting scriptures and get yourself castrated? Solve the problem at its root, you know? That might actually help you propagate the great teachings of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. Staring at the scattered beads, Chung Wenxin's pale face flushed a deep red. He violently swept the scriptures from the stone table to the ground. He, who had always been so superior, had been so thoroughly humiliated today by someone he utterly disdained. The earlier confrontation hadn't soured P2.She's mood, though his lunch plans were ruined. Thankfully, he still had the hot spring buns he'd bought for his grandmother. He drove to the convalescent home and went into her room. Auntie Zhang wasn't there. His grandmother, for once, wasn't asleep. She was wearing her reading glasses, looking in newspaper. "Grandma, haven't I told you to cut back on newspapers and your phone?" P2.She said, placing the fruit he'd bought and the hot spring buns on the table. Seeing him, Grandma smiled a little sheepishly. "Your Auntie Zhang had to leave early. I knew you were coming and was worried I'd fall asleep. I didn't know what else to do, and reading the paper actually perked me up a bit. Now, does that sound like something a good patient should say?" P2.She chuckled. "I brought you hot spring buns and some fruit. Did you eat lunch?" "I did." "Xiao, tell me, has Jinping gotten into trouble again?" At his grandmother's question, P2.She sighed and picked up a fruit knife to peel her an apple. "Don't you worry about him, Grandma. Whatever trouble he's in, he brought it on himself. It's his own making. I just feel it's so unfair to you. Jinping might be a bit clever, but your useless parents and sister have spoiled him rotten. He's full of flaws. If the family business isn't entrusted to you, I'm afraid he'll run it into the ground sooner or later." "Grandma, you know I'm not interested," P2.She said, handing her the sliced apple. "Besides, isn't P2.She still around?" Your elder sister." Grandma scoffed. "She inherited all of your father's ruthlessness and your mother's cold indifference, not missing a drop. Ching is capable, no doubt, but her ambition is far too vast. With such insatiable greed, she's bound to cause trouble eventually." Hearing this, P2.She was genuinely impressed. He rarely saw his grandmother more than a few times a year, yet she saw P2.She with perfect clarity. His own judgment of people, by contrast, was practically blind. After a moment's thought, he told his grandmother about the shares, including P2.She's bid to buy them out. "Sell them, then," Grandma declared, unconcerned about P2.She acquiring the shares. "That old man and your parents, they're the ones who raised that venomous beauty. Whatever happens, they'll have to face the consequences themselves. We'll sell to whoever offers the money. The rest is their business." P2.She sighed to himself. Over so many years, his grandmother's spirit had truly been crushed. She'd always stopped him from avenging her, simply because she couldn't bear to watch their family destroy each other in a bloody feud. "Sell the shares, and go live a peaceful life with those two Luo girls," Grandma said, reaching out to stroke her grandson's head. "Child, listen to me. No matter what those two girls might seem like, or what they do, you must believe that they love you." P2.She looked at her, surprised and confused by her words, but his grandmother didn't explain further. She simply went on, "Forget about revenge. My relationship with them in this life has been nothing but a tragic entanglement. I only pray that if there's an afterlife, our paths never cross again. But," she added softly, "Grandma would still want Xiao as my grandson in the next life." P2.She fought back tears, his voice choked. "But I'm your grandson in this life, aren't I? You just have to wait. Weier and Schwer are waiting for you to come home from the hospital, so their great-grandma can make them sweet cakes." "All right then. In that case, I'd better eat up," Grandma said, her voice a little stronger. "Come, let me try these hot spring buns." Everyone knew the truth of her condition, but no one dared to speak it aloud. Everyone wished for a miracle, even as they understood, deep down, that none would be forthcoming. Not until Auntie Zhang returned and P2.She saw his grandmother fall asleep did he leave the hospital. He checked the time. It was already 4 in the afternoon. Just as P2.She was wondering what to get for his child, a pleasant voice suddenly called out from behind him, tinged with hesitation and surprise. "P2.She?" P2.She instinctively turned around and saw a pretty girl with glasses, her hair styled in a neat bun. She wasn't very tall and possessed a delicate, southern charm. "Shangwan. P2.She couldn't help but marvel at bumping into a high school classmate here, of all places. "It really is you. I passed by a ward earlier and thought it looked like you." Shangwan voice was tinged with excitement. "Do you have family here?" "Yes, my grandmother." P2.She nodded. "What are you doing here? If I remember correctly, didn't you go to an Ivy League school in the U.S. after graduation?" Shangwan was P2.She's high school classmate. In their year, P2.She was always first, while Shangwan and Su Yinran vied for second place. Their homeroom teacher had been ecstatic back then, with the top 3 students in the grade, all from his class. P2.She had received a direct university recommendation, and Su Yinran had gotten into Jingdu University. As for Shangwan, Her family had arranged for her to attend an Ivy League school in the U.S. to study psychology. I just started working at this sanatorium, doing psychological counseling. Shangwan Meng had a beautiful smile with two faint dimples. Her face, still holding a touch of baby fat, radiated a youthful innocence and charm. I'm actually a psychiatrist at a hospital now, she continued. I even asked our old classmates about you. Getting your doctorate at such a young age. Congratulations. Not all. You're the one who's made her dream come true. And Mo Xian chuckled. Back then, I thought you'd go to Jingdu University. I didn't expect you to go abroad. Shangwan Meng had always dreamed of becoming a psychiatrist, and Mo Xian truly admired her for achieving it. Many youthful dreams are abandoned due to various factors, and her perseverance was commendable. Seeing Mo Xian, Shangwan Meng's heart began to race uncontrollably. He was the boy she had secretly adored all through high school, but Su Yanran had always been by his side, so Shangwan Meng could only keep her feelings hidden. That was why she had been overjoyed to hear Mo Xian and Su Yanran had broken up. She had worked incredibly hard while studying abroad, even managing to obtain her bachelor's degree in an accelerated year. She never imagined such a coincidence would lead her to meet Mo Xian here. During her years studying overseas, she and Mo Xian had occasionally kept in touch. After returning to the country, she had wanted to ask him out several times, but was always too shy to act on it. Mo Xian, it's been so long. See, could I treat you to a meal? Shangwan Meng finally mustered her courage, feeling that this chance encounter was her opportunity. Mo Xian hesitated for a moment, glanced at his phone, then nodded. All right, did you drive or? No, a car from my hospital dropped me off, Shangwan Meng quickly replied. Actually, I managed to snag a voucher for a really popular restaurant online. Want to go together? Mo Xian knew of the restaurant. It was pricey, but its reputation was excellent. Every month, they released a limited number of exclusive set meal vouchers. Though a marketing tactic, the deals offered not only a discount, but also genuinely delicious food, especially their seafood platter and signature braised pork belly, which were only available with the voucher. He knew this because Luo Miyuki had dragged him there once. While others had to fight for vouchers, Luo Miyuki could get them a table and the special meal with a single phone call, no voucher needed. As for Shangwan Meng, she had specifically gotten this voucher hoping to ask Mo Xian out, but she hadn't found the courage until now. Once in Mo Xian's car, Shangwan Meng immediately sensed something was off. There was a faint scent of women's perfume, and in the back seat, two Jigglypuff plushies, forgotten by Luo Weier and Luo Shuer during a previous trip to a hot spring resort. She wasn't surprised that Mo Xian drove a limited edition Maybach. What unsettled her more was an inexplicable flutter of panic. Tentatively, she asked, by the way, you and Su Yanran. We broke up, Mo Xian replied, sounding nonchalant. She's getting engaged soon, isn't she? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Shangwan Meng felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had only wanted to confirm that Mo Xian and Su Yanran hadn't gotten back together. So are you single now? No, I have a girlfriend, Mo Xian stated frankly. What about you? Don't you have a boyfriend? Hearing Mo Xian's words, Shangwan Meng felt a sharp pang in her heart, but she managed a strained smile. No, I'm still single. A sudden wave of regret washed over her for going abroad. The psychology program at her Ivy League school was world-renowned, but her introverted nature had led her to believe she stood no chance with Mo Xian. Feeling somewhat dejected, she had left the country to pursue her studies. She never imagined she would still miss her chance. If she had chosen Jingdu University, or another university in China, perhaps when Mo Xian and Su Yanran broke up, she could have finally been with her white moonlight, the boy she had secretly cherished for so long. Are you all right? Mo Xian, oblivious to her inner turmoil, asked with concern when he noticed her suddenly lower her head, her face a little pale. And no, I'm fine. Shangwan Meng fought back tears. Actually, Mo Xian, see, could I reschedule? I am not feeling very well. What's wrong? Let me take you to the hospital, or back to the sanatorium, Mo Xian offered, his voice laced with concern and a touch of anxiety. Hearing his worry, Shangwan Meng suddenly looked up and gave a faint smile. It's nothing, really. I've just been busy with reports lately and haven't rested well. You can just drop me off up ahead. At her repeated insistence, Mo Xian had no choice but to pull over. After she got out, he asked again if she was okay, but Shangwan Meng simply smiled and said she was fine. Can I call you in a few days to reschedule? Shangwan Meng's voice was calm, but her right hand, hidden behind her back, was trembling. If it's inconvenient, you could. Bring your girlfriend along. Sure, just let me know when you're free, Xian replied. After confirming she seemed okay, he said goodbye and drove off. Watching the car's taillights disappear into the distance, Sheng Wanming's tears finally began to fall. Xian was still the same towards her as he had always been, gentle, polite, treating her just like any other friend. She didn't break down sobbing. She just stood by the roadside, crying silently while sending a text message to her best friend. Then, she simply stood there, lost in a daze. About 20 minutes later, a BMW pulled up in front of her. Her best friend, Huang Ye, who was also one of Xian's high school classmates, hurried out of the car. Before Huang Ye could say a word, Sheng Wanming threw herself into her arms and burst into tears. This secret love, buried deep in her heart for her entire youth, seemed destined to remain unrequited. In the past, Xian had Su Yanran. Now he had someone else. Oh yeah, Huang Ye sighed, gently patting Sheng Wanming's back, her tone tinged with a familiar frustration. If you don't say anything, not even give a hint, how is he supposed to know? Sheng Wanming knew that if she had been braver, things might have turned out differently. It's okay now, Xiao. She wiped her tears, gazing in the direction Xian had disappeared. I'll still love him. As long as he's not married, I still have a chance. This time, she whispered, I just hope I can be braver. This is a key character, involved in future plot developments. Huang Ye had always known Sheng Wanming liked Xian. In fact, back in high school, quite a few girls had a crush on Xian, and even she had secretly admired him for a while. Xian had a somewhat reserved personality and wasn't very enthusiastic about socializing. However, if classmates had any problems, he would always patiently explain things. He wasn't arrogant, and his temperament was easygoing, but he still seemed a bit distant with people. Cheng Jiahao claimed to be his friend, but it was more like Cheng Jiahao was pestering him. Xian didn't mind and just let him be. Of course, Su Yanran, his official girlfriend, was the exception. Huang Ye hadn't expected Sheng Wanming to be so persistent. She still liked Xian, even now, years after high school. But if you like him, why don't you do something concrete about it? Sheng Wanming's family wasn't exactly a super rich, influential family, but they were well off from a scholarly background, and she herself was petite and pretty. Huang Ye just couldn't understand why Sheng Wanming was so shy. After comforting her best friend and getting into the car, Huang Ye thought for a moment and finally asked, Ming, tell me, why exactly have you never told Xian you like him? Sheng Wanming shook her head, resting it against the car window, without saying a word. Huang Ye sighed. Every time she asked this question, Sheng Wanming would go silent. Huang Ye didn't want to press further, so she started the car and drove off. When Xian got home, he was carrying small cakes he had bought for Luo Wei'er and Luo Shuer. Walking into the living room, he saw Luo Xia sitting on the sofa, her suit jacket open, her long, slender legs resting lazily on the sofa as she looked at a tablet. You're back. Luo Xia heard him, looked over, and gave Xian a gentle smile. Dinner will be ready soon. Why are you alone? Where's Muki? Xian was a bit curious. And why aren't Wei'er and Shuer here either? Muki had something to do. She'll be back later. Luo Xia put down her tablet. The children are playing in their room. Uncle Zheng and the others are looking after them. Xiao Xian, carry me upstairs to change. Xian sighed. He clearly wanted to refuse, but in the end, he put down the small cakes, went over, and swept Luo Xia into his arms. Luo Xia, with a hint of a satisfied smile, wrapped her arms around Xian's neck. Carrying her back to the room, Xian gently placed Luo Xia on the floor. He always felt something was a bit off. Luo Xia and Luo Muki's words sometimes seemed to have a magical quality, making it impossible for him to refuse. What's wrong? Luo Xia wrapped her arms around Xian's waist, looking up at him affectionately. Xiao Xian, don't overthink things. By the way, how about I give you a new present? With that, Luo Xia turned, took a car key and a box from the nightstand drawer. A new car I bought for you. Take me for a drive after dinner. And also, Luo Xia opened the box. Inside was a matte black ring, studded with tiny diamonds like a starry sky. This is for you. Don't worry, it's not that expensive. Looking at the ring, Xian found it strangely familiar, as if he had seen a similar black ring before. Shall I put it on for you? Luo Xia said, almost to herself, and slipped the ring onto Xian's left index finger. This ring is for you. As for the wedding rings, remember, you have to buy those for us. Xia, you and Yuki, why are you so good to me? Xian couldn't help but ask the question he had been suppressing. Her answer was a deep kiss. It seemed nothing needed to be said. Just one kiss. And Xian's world seemed to shrink to only the person before him and the pleasant scent of her perfume. Meanwhile, in a luxurious private room of a private kitchen restaurant in Jingdu, Luo Tian sat at the head of the table, his index finger gently tapping the tabletop. Opposite him, Chen Wenxin looked at the table full of meat dishes and couldn't help but frown. "Brother Tian, you know I'm vegetarian, right?" Chen Wenxin adjusted the cuffs of his suit. "Also, when are you going to make Xian apologize to me?" Luo Tian didn't answer, merely reached for a cigar, placed it in his mouth, and lit it. Amidst the exhaled smoke, Luo Tian finally spoke. "Guess why? Out of the agreed-upon gathering, it's just the two of us." Chen Wenxin wasn't lying. This meal was supposed to be for a few young masters from families with close ties, a chance to relax, get together, and have a few drinks. But the food had all been served, and only Luo Tian and Chen Wenxin were in the private room. "Wenxin, you try to mess with my sister's man, and as a result, your guys ended up in hospital while Xian is fine. Don't you think asking him to apologize to you is a bit much?" The exhaled smoke somewhat obscured Luo Tian's face, but Chen Wenxin could still see the displeasure in Luo Tian's eyes, which made Chen Wenxin's heart tighten. He knew Luo Tian was genuinely angry. Having been in a high position for so long, Luo Tian wouldn't fly into a rage, but a single look was enough to convey the tycoon president's pleasure or displeasure. But Chen Wenxin was, after all, a young master from a wealthy family, the future head of the Cheng family. Naturally, he didn't need to yield to Luo Tian. Moreover, Xian had beaten his men and humiliated him. Regardless of the reason, he needed an explanation. In his heart, no matter how immensely powerful and influential the Luo family was, he didn't believe Luo Tian would dare to disregard the Cheng family. Luo Tian sighed, sounding somewhat resigned. "Your 2 bodyguards? I'll give them 2 million each, and I'll cover their medical expenses. Let's end this here, all right?" "No way. If he doesn't apologize, don't blame me," Chen Wenxin replied with almost no hesitation. "Brother Tian, are you just going to condone Luo Miyuki's relationship with that guy? Isn't my status as the young madam of the Cheng family good enough for her? Or am I not sincere enough?" "Sincere my ass." Luo Tian couldn't help but scoff internally. Age-wise, Chen Wenxin and Luo Xie were more suitable, but he wouldn't dare. Luo Xie was like a 1,000-year-old iceberg to anyone besides Xian. Besides, everyone in their upper circles knew Luo Xie was ruthless and cold-hearted. Furthermore, this guy was acting erratically, always going to temples or chanting scriptures. Forget the Luo family. Even other families of similar standing to the Chengs weren't willing to marry their daughters to him. An ascetic Buddha's son? He could fool others. He always gave off the vibe that this Buddha's son, had re-entered the mortal world because of Luo Miyuki, but in reality, he had secretly fathered an illegitimate child with that female secretary of his. "Wenxin, we've known each other since we were kids. Do you really have to make things so tense?" Luo Tian glanced at his watch. "Why don't you reconsider?" Just as he was speaking, the door was pushed open, and Luo Miyuki walked in, dressed in a haute couture suit. She glanced coolly at Chen Wenxin, then looked at Luo Tian. "Cousin, what's going on?" "He wants Xian to apologize to him." Seeing Luo Miyuki enter, Luo Tian extinguished his cigar, picked up his chopsticks, and started eating. "Wenxin, I'm washing my hands of this. But, as for her, I don't know." Seeing Luo Miyuki, Chen Wenxin didn't show much emotion, looking at her calmly as usual. "He doesn't have to apologize. I heard Xian is about to join Roxing. As long as you and Brother Tian agree not to let him join, I can let this slide." Luo Tian slammed his chopsticks on the table with a thwack, then looked coldly at Chen Wenxin. "Don't fucking think I don't know. Your sister has been trying to poach him for Cheng Corporation. You're certainly looking out for your sister. Rest assured, if he can't get into Rongxing, he naturally won't get into Cheng Corp either," Chen Wenxin said with a smile. "My men were beaten. It's not right if I don't give them account for it. Once this is over, I'm going to the mountains for some quiet contemplation. Miyuki, you should still consider our marriage. Think of it as giving each other a chance." "How about this? I'll apologize on his behalf," Luo Miyuki said, smiling at him. Seeing his sister smile, Luo Tian immediately lowered his head and focused on eating. "Wenxin, good advice is wasted on a stubborn fool. Don't say I didn't try to help you, brother." Chen Wenxin's brow furrowed slightly, then immediately smoothed out. If he couldn't humiliate Xian, having Luo Miyuki apologize to him would at least vent some of the resentment from being rejected and losing face back then. Luo Miyuki turned, picked up a bottle of red wine from the side, and said with a dangerous smile, "I'll pour you a drink myself. This time, you'll let my brother off? How about it?" I didn't provoke him, did I? Luo Tian, who was busy eating, looked up and chimed in. Don't flatter yourself. Luo Myuki shot him a sharp glance. Luo Tian quickly made a go-on gesture and lowered his head, continuing to eat. Frustrating or not, he was used to anyway. Chung Wenxin hadn't expected Luo Myuki to go this far for Mo Xian, but he didn't really care. Sincerity? It was all about benefits, anyway. I don't drink alcohol. Pour me a cup of tea. Before he could finish, Luo Myuki upended the bottle of red wine in her hand, pouring it all over his head. Chung Wenxin looked like he still hadn't processed what just happened. His mouth hung slightly open in shock, until the red wine streaming down his head reached his lips. With a furious roar, he tried to stand. Then Luo Myuki smashed a wine bottle across his head. Ack! Chung Wenxin let out a scream of agony, only for Luo Myuki to follow up with a vicious kick. Her high heels struck him square in the chest, knocking him flat onto the floor. I poured the wine, Luo Myuki said with a sweet smile that sent chills down the spine. So, you've forgiven my brother now, right? Mr. Chung, she added, her voice cold and deliberate. You have forgiven my brother, right? Manqing. Chung Wenxin clutched his bleeding head, red wine and blood seeping through his fingers. He struggled to his feet and called out toward the door. It opened. A female bodyguard dragged Li Manqing in by her hair. The once elegant woman in a cheongsam now looked disheveled, her cheeks swollen and bruised, clearly having been slapped around. Don't bother yelling, Luo Myuki said, tossing aside the broken bottle with a flick of disgust. The guys you brought with you? They're all passed out by the dumpsters out back. Cousin, you mind stepping out for a bit? Do whatever you want. Just don't ruin the food, Luo Tian muttered, still focused on his meal. He'd known the moment Myuki said she was coming, things wouldn't go smoothly. That's why he only invited Chung Wenxin. In fact, a small part of Luo Tian even found the situation amusing. I wonder, does Ma Xuan know just how crazy these two sisters are about him? You crazy bitch. Are you really trying to start a war with the Chung family? Chung Wenxin staggered to his feet, eyes blazing with hatred as he glared at Luo Myuki. All this for some worthless bastard your own family threw out. His rant cut off mid-sentence. His body trembled violently, eyes widening in horror. A lewd moaning sound played from Luo Myuki's phone. On the screen, an explicit video began to roll. What do you think happens to your family's stock price if I send this out? She asked calmly, exiting the video player and looking at him like a cat toying with a mouse. Golden boy of the Chung family, she said with mock admiration. All that talk of Buddhist values in public, but in private? Want to share more? Maybe another clip. Wenxin, was this really worth it? Luo Tian wiped his mouth with a napkin, poured himself a drink, and spoke in a tone that was equal parts exasperated and persuasive. We've known each other for years. Just apologize to my sister, and this ends here. Oh, and maybe buy something nice for Ma Xuan. Car, a limited edition watch, whatever. We're not picky. My sister only cares about Ma Xuan. Make him happy, and none of this will ever see the light of day. Chung Wenxin felt dizzy. His head still rang from the blow, but this was worse. His darkest secrets, caught on video. The Luo family had evidence. If this ever leaked, the Chung family wouldn't go bankrupt, but his future as heir, that would be over. There were 3 Chung children in total, him, Chung Yinu, and a younger brother just starting middle school. He wasn't the only option anymore. Hell, his father's illegitimate son overseas had been eyeing his position for years. As for stopping my brother from joining Rongxing, Luo Myuki's voice cut in, calm and casual. I'll agree to that. Luo Tian nearly dropped his wine glass. Ma Xuan's position at Rongxing had been set in stone since his PhD. Luo Xia had even offered up her assets and cash in exchange for a stake in Rongxing to give to Ma Xuan. Luo Tian hadn't cared much. He only took ownership of one hotel from Luo Xia in return and gave her 10% of Rongxing's shares. It was a lopsided trade. Rongxing was far more valuable than the Mo family's assets. And now Luo Myuki was saying Ma Xuan wouldn't join Rongxing? Chung Wenxin didn't respond. He just shot a venomous glare at the Luo siblings and stormed out of the room in humiliation. Once Luo Myuki saw the female bodyguard get her signal, she released Li Manqing and let her leave with him. Cousin, where's the recorder? Luo Myuki turned and looked at Luo Tian. You recorded the threats Wenxin made earlier, right? Luo Tian had no idea what these sisters were up to, but still fished a recorder out of his suit pocket and handed it over. Myuki, he said warily, what the hell are you and Xia planning now? Setting aside your relationship with Ma Xuan, he added, with his talent, the execs at Rongxing were already lining up to support him, but, oh, I never said he couldn't join, Miyuki said with a sly smile. Just not physically. My sister and I changed our minds. Cousin, could you arrange a remote position for him? Work from home only. Well, that's doable, Luo Tian said, scratching his head. He's a programmer, after all. He can work from anywhere. But I was planning to train him into a tech director. No need, Miyuki replied, her smile chillingly serene. He just needs to stay home with us. He doesn't need to go anywhere. And even if he does, we'll go with him. Luo Tian instinctively leaned back, as if trying to distance himself. If not for the wall behind him, he might have bolted. Cousin, it's better if you stay out of this. Miyuki glanced at him one last time. Just make sure he's properly set up, and tell the family to stay out of it too. That include my parents. With that, she turned and left. Luo Tian sighed, staring into his wineglass. Stay out of it? As if they could. With the way those sisters were wired, who knew what they'd do for Ma Xuan. Even their ruthless grandmother couldn't rein them in. How could he? He felt a pang of guilt for Ma Xuan. But for the sake of the Luo family, they had no choice but to let this madness play out. Cheng Wenxin, you have no idea. If those two really wanted to, they could shake the entire elite circle of the capital to its core. Luo Tian murmured the words like a tired man twice his age, despite being only 30. After dinner, Luo Xie asked Ma Xuan to wait for her in the garage. Then she headed upstairs to her study. She pressed gently on a book titled Relativity on the shelf. A hidden door slowly swung open. Inside the narrow room, the walls were plastered with photos of Ma Xuan, at all ages in all settings. In the center of the wall facing the door was an enlarged group photo. A young Luo Xie, a younger Miyuki, one hugging him from behind, the other clinging to his front. A much younger Ma Xuan, eyes full of helpless resignation, caught between them. Staring at the photo, Luo Xie's lips curled into a gentle smile. She walked to the desk beneath it, picked up a pen, and began writing on a sheet of white paper. I originally wanted to wait until the girls were a little older, but Miyuki and I were done waiting. Just the thought of him leaving, of him being with another woman, it makes me want to kill. We need to increase the frequency of psychological cues. Under the right conditions, I'm not against using chemical reinforcement. Phase 3 is complete. Time to begin transitioning into Phase 4. She finished the note, then reached up to gently caress Ma Xuan's face in the photo. Her eyes burned with a twisted, obsessive love. As if possessed, she began writing Ma Xuan's name over and over again, her body trembling uncontrollably. All right, Xiaoxian is still waiting for me. She smiled to herself. Gotta hold it together. Can't let him see anything's wrong. Humming a cheerful tune, she walked out of the secret room. The door sealed behind her, the lights fading away, until even Ma Xuan's image disappeared into the darkness. Mo Xian was just about to head to the garage when his phone suddenly rang. Seeing it was Mo Qingqing, he was a bit surprised. After all, according to their agreement, the transaction was supposed to happen tomorrow. When he answered, Mo Qingqing's first words were, "Bring the share transfer documents and meet me at this location." So soon, Mo Xian paused. Are you in that much of a hurry? Are you genuinely clueless? Or just playing dumb? Mo Qingqing said, her tone sharp. Jinping's mess. It wasn't your doing, was it? If it were me, do you think I'd only expose that one thing? Mo Xian retorted. The stuff you gave me was far juicier, wasn't it? It wasn't you. Mo Qingqing hesitated. Mo Xian sneered. What, now that I'm not home, you can't find a scapegoat? Just tell me the location. I'll do this deal with anyone. I don't care if you're still Chairman Mo or not. 1 hour. Meet me here. Mo Qingqing didn't say anything more and hung up. About a minute later, she sent a location pin, a hotel. Can't wait, huh? Luo Xie peeked out from behind Mo Xian, her hands naturally wrapping around his waist. Let me go with you. Don't worry, I won't show my face. Luo Xie had been keeping a close eye on Mo Qingqing. This sudden change of plans, she suspected, wasn't just because of the ridiculous mess Mo Jinping had caused, but rather due to old Madame Yi. The Mo family's affairs could be blown up or played down. If they really wanted to suppress it, it wouldn't be impossible. A sharp woman like old Madame Yi understood this. The crucial point was that old Madame Yi wanted her granddaughter-in-law to be the CEO of Mo Corporation, and that CEO had to be Mo Qingqing, who couldn't afford to lose her position. She valued Mo Qingqing's capability and decisiveness. If Mo Qingqing buckled under Mo Changshan's pressure and stepped down, then there would be no need for Yi Ning to marry her. Moreover, Mo Ching was a woman, in old Madame Ye's eyes. As long as Mo Ching held onto the family business, it would sooner or later belong to the Yi family. For the Luo family, the Mo's were dispensable, but it was a different story for the Yes. All right, let's take the new car. Luo Xia grinned mischievously. Just say you're taking me for a drive, okay? When Mo Xian saw the new black Lamborghini Night Star Luo Xia had bought him, he looked at her, speechless for a moment, then tentatively asked, Xia, I can just drive the car you gave me before. Naturally, his opinion didn't matter. They drove to the hotel Mo Ching had sent, entering the underground parking garage. Luo Xia made a call. We're here. Where are you? After a brief exchange, Luo Xia had Missouri Xian Park next to a Porsche. A tall woman in a white suit got out of it. She looked to be around 30, beautiful but with a stern expression and shoulder-length hair, giving off an unapproachable vibe. This is the lawyer I contacted for you, Chunan. Luo Xia introduced her to Mo Xian. Sister Chu, you're aware of the situation, right? Chunan nodded. Rest assured, Vice President. I've already drafted the contract. Do you and Mr. Mo need to review it? No need. Just proceed as we discussed earlier, Luo Xia said, then turned and straightened Mo Xian's jacket. Go on. Mo Ching can't be trusted. With Sister Chu here, just follow her lead when it's time to talk. Mo Xian nodded. He completely trusted Luo Xia's arrangements. Mo Xian called Mo Ching. She had booked a business suite at the hotel. He and Chunan took the elevator up from the parking garage and found Mo Ching's room. To Mo Xian's surprise, Mo Ching had come alone. For some reason, she looked somewhat tired, with dark circles under her eyes. No need to stare. I'm the one who has to clean up Mo Jinping's damn messes. After all, Mo Ching said nonchalantly, noticing Mo Xian's gaze. And this is... Hello, CEO Mo. I'm Chunan. Chunan politely offered a business card. I've been entrusted to accompany Mr. Mo as his representative. A flicker of surprise crossed Mo Ching's eyes. She hadn't met Chunan before, but had heard of her reputation. A top-tier lawyer from a prominent family, undefeated since she began practicing. To be able to hire her, Mo Ching grew even more curious about the wealthy woman backing Mo Xian. CEO Mo, you didn't bring a lawyer for a share transfer of this magnitude? Chunan scanned the room, her gaze lingering thoughtfully on the handbag Mo Ching had placed by the bed. But do you trust Mr. Mo that much? Yeah, no need for that. I want the shares, he wants the money. We each get what we want, Mo Ching said, sitting down on the sofa. Didn't you prepare the documents long ago? Just have the great lawyer Chu here notarize them, and I can transfer the funds anytime. Mo Xian waved the folder he'd been holding, but didn't open it immediately. Instead, he glanced at Mo Ching and asked, I'm quite curious. What are you planning to do? Stage a coup, of course. Mo Ching replied nonchalantly, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. To be honest with you, Mo Ching continued, the Su family has only postponed, not canceled, Su Yanran and Mo Jinping's engagement party. And Su Yanran agreed to it. She took a slim cigarette from a pack on the table, lit it, and took a drag, her bright red nails holding the cigarette as she eyed Mo Xian. However, Mo Xian showed no reaction to this news, not even a flicker of emotion in his handsome eyes. Mo Ching was rather surprised. She hadn't expected Mo Xian to have truly gotten over Su Yanran completely. Young love often turned into a lingering obsession. Mo Ching had seen many friends and classmates occasionally reminisce about their first loves, which was why she herself had never been moved by any man. What she wanted was never what she considered illusory love. Only power and wealth held firmly in her grasp were real. She didn't even have any feelings for Yi Ning, merely seeing him as a stepping stone for her ambitions. Mo Xian didn't sit down immediately himself, but gestured for Chunan to take a seat first. Chunan quickly waved her hand, motioning for Mo Xian to sit on the sofa while she sat on the edge of the bed. Whether intentionally or not, Chunan happened to position herself in front of Mo Ching's bag. Mo Ching noticed, merely furrowed her brow slightly, and said nothing. So, you really can't wait, Mo Xian chuckled. Once Mo Jinping and Su Yanran get engaged, Chairman Mo will probably come after you. He smiled. After he caused such a huge scandal, Chairman Mo still protects him. It seems he's dead set on letting this illegitimate son take over. I'm actually quite curious, Mo Xian continued. Does he love that woman that much? For her and their child, he caused the death of one of his own sons, forced me away, and now he wants to kick you, his capable eldest daughter, out of the CEO position too? Mo Ching took a drag from her cigarette, then chuckled softly. You don't really think father is doing all this because he truly loves Li Yuzhen, do you? He's just guarding against mother, just like mother guarded against him. Excuse me, mister. Mo, should I step out? Chunan asked at the opportune moment. Mo Qingqing, however, shook her head. No need. I trust the professional ethics of a top lawyer. Besides, even if you were to speak of this, I wouldn't care. Mo Xian gave Mo Qingqing a look filled with meaning. I'm not quite sure what you mean. What do you think? Mo Qingqing blinked. I won't say more. You don't really think your big sister is that foolish, do you? What I can tell you is this. Think about all the official and unofficial histories from ancient times to modern, both here and abroad. Things you might think are too outrageous to be possible, they might have already happened. No wonder she wasn't afraid of it getting out. She had no intention of explaining things clearly from the start. Mo Xian grumbled inwardly. He knew Mo Qingqing wouldn't tell him everything, but he didn't care. He couldn't be bothered to learn about the Mo family's dirty laundry. He wouldn't go against his grandmother's wishes. Even if his grandmother passed away, all he planned to do was let the Mo family members tear each other apart. With Chunan present, the whole process wasn't very strenuous. Mo Xian was a bit curious, though. Chunan had barely participated, and the agreement mentioned earlier in the garage hadn't been brought out. His grandmother had prepared the share transfer agreement long ago. All it needed was a signature. The terms clearly stated that Mo Xian had the authority to dispose of these shares on her behalf. Mo Qingqing didn't delay either. 600 million was transferred to Mo Xian's account just like that. Looking at that long string of zeros, Mo Xian actually felt a sense of relief. Oh, by the way, if you could, please tell old Master Mo something for me, Mo Xian said, slowly getting up to leave. Grandma said to ask old Master Mo to prepare himself when he has a moment. She wants to divorce him before she passes away. Mo Qingqing frowned, then gave a wry smile. You've really given me a difficult task. It might be better coming from you. After all, if I were to talk to him about it, he might just die of anger. Mo Xian shrugged. Don't ask me why Grandma wants a divorce at this time. I don't know either. Mo Xian hadn't asked for details. If his grandmother wanted to tell him, she would. If she didn't, he wouldn't press her for a reason. All right, I'll try. But don't get your hopes up too high, Mo Qingqing said, tidying up the documents. Even though Grandpa hasn't seen Grandma for so many years, he's never mentioned divorce. Mo Xian didn't answer. He didn't know what old Master Mo thought. Or did he want to? The money had arrived. He needed to tell his grandmother. He also wanted to try one more time to take her abroad to see if there were any other options. Although it had been so long, and the Luo family had used all their connections and funds, trying almost every method, even bringing in foreign experts at great expense more than once. The result, without exception, was always the same. Mo Xian had only taken 2 steps when Chunan stood up and stopped him. Then, she smiled at Mo Qingqing and said, Since you two have concluded your business, the matter I was entrusted with can now begin. President Mo, my client would like you to look at this document. Mo Xian was a little surprised, but Chunan gave him a look. Remembering Luo Shi's words, he didn't say anything. Mo Qingqing took the document from Chunan and began to read it carefully. Her brow remained tightly furrowed, and her expression became inscrutable. After a long while, she put the document down, took out a cigarette, lit it, and stood by the window with her back to them, smoking. Not bad, Mo Xian. Mo Qingqing turned around, looked at Mo Xian, and couldn't help but sneer. It seems that pretty face of yours has really helped you out a lot. Fine. Tell that rich woman behind you that I'll consider it. But I won't sign it right now. Mo Xian was completely clueless, having no idea what Mo Qingqing meant. Chunan, however, didn't seem surprised. She simply reached out, took the agreement back, and put it in her bag. In that case, we'll take our leave, Chunan said, tugging at Mo Xian's sleeve. President Mo, think about it. You won't lose out. Mo Qingqing didn't answer, turning back to the window to continue smoking. Chunan's lips curved into a smile, and she left the room with Mo Xian. As soon as the two had left, Mo Qingqing went over and opened the bag she had placed on the bed. However, the pinhole camera inside, intended to secretly film their transaction, was gone. That top lawyer sure is quick. Mo Qingqing wasn't too bothered. She hadn't planned on using it to threaten Mo Xian anyway. She just thought it might be useful in the future. An agreement? How ridiculous. You think a little bit of evidence will make me share the Mo Corporation, which I've been scheming for so long, with Mo Xian? Dream on. In the elevator, Mo Xian couldn't help but ask Chunan, Lawyer Chu, what exactly did you show her just now? You don't know. Chunan frowned. She had thought Luo-Xie had already told Mo Xian. The vice president hopes that after Mo Qingqing successfully seizes power, she will give you 20% of the shares. However, it's not for free. She'll be given some projects and also evidence of her secret, illegal asset transfers. Mo Xian fell silent. Mo Qingqing had done more than just one or two questionable things. The Luo family had uncovered more than just illegal asset transfers. But he had no interest in the company, much less wanted it. If his grandmother were gone, Mo Xian would definitely expose all of Mo Changshan and Qini's dirty secrets to each other. Letting them fight it out amongst themselves would be enough. Knowing that couple, he wouldn't even need to deliberately target them. Just rip away their fig leaves, and they would tear into each other like mad dogs. A chain reaction would follow. Mo Qingqing seizing power, Mo Jinping being sidelined, and Mo Changshan and Qin and I battling it out. If things continued like this, it would be a miracle if the Mo and Qin families could find any peace. So, aside from Mo Xian having no interest in the Mo Corporation to begin with, no one could say for sure what state the company's internals would be in under these circumstances. Basic risk aversion principles alone would make Mo Xian want to avoid touching such a mess. So, he really didn't understand why Luo-Xie would do this. On the way back, Mo Xian drove in silence. Luo-Xie seemed to sense what was on his mind and said with a smile, "Are you wondering why I would do such a thing? Feeling very curious?" Mo Xian pulled the car over to the side of the road, turned to look at Luo-Xie, seemingly waiting for her to tell him. "Silly boy, how could Mo Qingqing possibly give you the company?" Luo-Xie said, taking Mo Xian's hand. "Someone like her might not be that afraid of the evidence. Besides, it's ultimately an internal family financial dispute. You've already left home, and it's only a matter of time before Mo Jinping is sidelined. When that happens, your parents might even compromise. After all, to your parents, Mo Qingqing and her two sisters are their last resort. However, she'll definitely be tempted by the projects I'm offering. This woman is too ambitious, and people like her are often extremely greedy. With her personality of wanting to have her cake and eat it too, not wanting to share power with you, but still wanting my projects, between you and Mo Jinping, one brother who she'll kick out sooner or later, and another who can bring her benefits, who do you think she'll favor more? After all, what I've promised her is quite a lot. Of course, whether I actually give it to her is entirely up to me. It's just bait, silly Xiao Xian. The Mo family will destroy themselves sooner or later. Mo Qingqing will also eventually walk a path of no return. I'm just using her a little to help you get your revenge. You don't blame me, do you?" Mo Xian looked at Luo-Xie, and after a long moment, he sighed. "Why would I blame you? You've thought this through much more than I have." Mo Xian couldn't help but give a wry smile inwardly. Luo-Xie was so gentle in front of him that he often forgot she was the vice president of a top financial conglomerate. For her, something like this was probably just a small, casually executed scheme. A sudden tightness gripped Mo Xian's heart. Could their relationship also be one of Luo-Xie's calculations? But he quickly dismissed the thought. He had nothing. What could she possibly gain by scheming to be with him? To have his child? Or even for a situation involving both her and her sister? Thinking this, Mo Xian felt even more guilty looking at Luo-Xie. She had clearly poured her heart out to him, yet he had presumptuously thought she was scheming against him.